Chapter 287. Fifth level immortal stage Su Fang's main concern was his life energy. Life energy was related to his fate wheel. Completing this mission had consumed his lifespan, and the best way to make up for it was to break through. The impurities were constantly leaking out of his skin, making him look like black sand. He once again activated the 100 acupoints finger art to guide the breakthrough energy. The breakthrough was extremely shocking. While it was painful, it also brought him shocking power. Su Fang continued to absorb the energy from the runes, as well as the life energy from the dragon taming wood. Adding in all kinds of pills and resources, his current strength was like a surging flood. This continued for several days before calming down. He immediately controlled his life energy and returned his appearance to normal. In the end, he was still around 30 years old. Clearly, breaking through a realm couldn't make up for his life energy. Fortunately, after reaching the 5th level, his strength had advanced by leaps and bounds. Relying on the dragon taming wood wasn't a problem. Senior, the origin energy I collected last time should be enough for one person to cleanse their marrow, right? His divine sense entered the Xianguang space and saw that the slaves were still cultivating. More than enough. Greenfeather King opened his eyes. His gaze was like an unshakable mountain, eternal and leisurely. Su Fang instantly relaxed. I have a strength now, especially the ability. If I have time, I plan to return to Zhao and use origin energy to cleanse my father's marrow. If it's not enough, I'll have to find a way to get more origin energy. Greenfeather King coldly frowned. It's best if you don't go. Do you remember how you and that little fox, Dao Wuyong, caused havoc in the Dark Forest? Why? Just because you have to go through the Dark Forest and then fight with the experts inside? You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you think the Dark Forest is a place you can go whenever you want? Junior has so many Yang Soul experts now. So what if it's a Yang Soul realm expert? One won't be of any use, and even 100 of them would be useless. Why don't you take a look at how many major factions in the Crimson Firmament continent want to cross the Dark Forest or find its secrets? But since ancient times, no one has succeeded. How many Yang Soul realm cultivators have died here? Even if it's a peerless giant that surpasses the Yang Soul realm, they won't be able to do anything if they go there. The Dark Forest is even more dangerous than the Xinjia Gate. Thinking back, Su Fang only felt that the Dark Forest was very strange. However, he had never felt that it was a terrifying place. At most, it was a dangerous place. This king is unable to answer you. To be honest, I have been to the Xinjia Gate before, but I did not enter the legendary Profound Realm, so I do not understand the Xinjia Gate. I also do not know much about the Dark Forest. I have never seen the existence that controls the forest, and in the entire Zhuotian world, I have never heard of anyone who knows how powerful the king of the Dark Forest is. So mysterious. If Junior really wants to return to the state of Zhao, I'll have to go around the Dark Forest and go through the water. That's fine. The Leech King is much more convenient. That's right. Wait until you become a true peerless expert. Only then can you venture into the Dark Forest. Greenfeather King nodded. Withdrawing his spiritual force, Su Fang continued to absorb the energy within the rune talisman. He wanted to make good use of this rune talisman and try his best to reach the 5th level of the natural state. At this moment, in the depths of the vast dojo, the Elder of the Frozen Moon, Cave Heaven, pierced through the air and entered a large hall. A middle-aged man in a white robe was already standing in the hall. If Greenfeather King saw this middle-aged man, he would definitely recognize him. He was Yuan Tianzong, the person who had appeared in the state of Zhao and led a group of experts to hunt down Greenfeather King. Later, Su Fang and the others had intentionally released Greenfeather King's aura in the Dark Forest. It was this big shot who had personally led a large group of experts into the Dark Forest. Jin Shankong arrived in the hall and cupped his fists. Brother Yuan, you're really early. I also arrived first. Yuan Tianzong looked at Jin Shankong. The two of them sat down. This time, your Frozen Moon Cave Heaven has done a great service. You obtained the treasure from the Xinjia Gate. Perhaps next time you go to the Xinjia Gate, you'll be able to discover its secrets. If my sect can obtain the Xinjia Gate, we'll definitely become the Zhua Heaven World's #1 power. Jin Changkong suddenly asked, Brother Yuan, you've always been in charge of tracking the ancient rock's whereabouts. How come I heard you went to the Dark Forest several times? The Dark Forest doesn't know what's good for them. I asked to enter the forest several times to find the ancient rock's whereabouts, but they refused. Later, I took a step back and asked them to hand over the ancient rock, but they didn't agree. I was just about to ask the leader's opinion. There's a supreme treasure sealed within the ancient rock's body. It's even more important than the Xinjia Gate. If we can obtain that treasure, our celestial sealing sect will be able to establish ourselves in another small world and dominate the human emperor world. The Xinjia Gate is also very important. In the future, the sect will let Brother Jin be in charge of the Xinjia Gate. Frozen Moon, Cave Heaven's influence will also be greater than before. Congratulations. That's not certain. You're here. While the two big shots were chatting, a blurry Yang Soul image appeared on the throne above the hall. The Yang Soul emitted a majestic aura. It seemed to be the origin of the celestial sealing sect. Yuan Tianzong and Jin Changkong immediately stood up. Leader. So the Yang Soul was the current leader of the celestial sealing sect. No wonder it had the aura of its origin. The Supreme Chancellor's Yang Soul exuded boundless majesty. I've already studied the Xinjia Gate. It truly does come from the inner profound realm. Unfortunately, it's broken. Fortunately, you have the power of a great world, so you might be able to use it to discover the secrets of the Xinjia Gate. However, you'll need a disciple with good fortune to do so. Treasures like that don't rely on strength, but on luck. Leader, what's your decision? Asked Jin Changkong. This opportunity is perfect for testing the 3 exalted disciples. My cultivation base has already reached the peak for many years, but I've always been stuck at a bottleneck. But I can't let it drag on forever. Tribulation is still tribulation. Whether it succeeds or fails, the celestial sealing sect needs a genius to inherit it. So I'll have the 3 exalted disciples bring the most talented disciples to the Xinjia Gate to gain experience. It seems one of the 3 exalted disciples will be able to use that treasure to discover the secrets of the Xinjia Gate. That's not certain. The 3 exalted disciples might be overflowing with talent, but things like karmic luck and opportunities are impossible to predict. They might have the strength, but opportunities aren't something everyone can grasp. Leader, disciple has a matter to discuss. Yuan Tianzong spoke at this moment. What is it? The Supreme Leader's young, nascent shot out 2 rays of light. It's still the Dark Forest. Ever since the ancient rock's aura appeared in the forest, there hasn't been any other aura. It's most likely suppressed by the Dark Forest's experts. Right now, the Dark Forest is very unyielding. They won't even let disciples take half a step into the forest. If there's really no other choice, we'll have to force our way in, said Yuan Tianzong with suppressed killing intent. Forcing your way in won't work. The Supreme Leader decisively said, the Dark Forest has existed for too long. No one can tell whether it's the heavenly gourd spirit tree or the Dark Forest. Our sect's previous leaders have clashed with the Dark Forest countless times. Our ancestors only left behind 3 words: do not enter. Do not enter. Was the Dark Forest really that terrifying? Yuan Tianzong and Jin Changkong exchanged a shocked glance. Neither of them believed it. I also don't want to part with the human emperor's bright will fragment, but our ancestors' wills are correct. Let's put this matter aside for now. If our sect can obtain the Xinjia Gate, we'll have the qualifications to fight the Dark Forest. With that, the Supreme Leader vanished in a thin air. Brother Yuan, you can have some peace during this period of time. Only Jin Changkong and Yuan Tianzong were left. The 2 of them chatted as they walked. Soon, they left the hall. Ice Moon Grotto Heaven, high immortal heaven's saber radiance mountain. What a great dojo! A figure quietly arrived. When Su Fong saw this person, he wouldn't believe it no matter what and would be shocked. Zhao Wuji. He was wearing a gray robe and didn't have the aura of the high immortal heaven. Right now, he was just an ordinary undying disciple. After staring for a while, he released an aura that engulfed the dojo's enchantment. Soon, A door appeared on the enchantment. Su Fong came through the door. When he saw Zhao Wuji, he smiled in surprise and greeted him. When they arrived at the highest hall, Su Fong asked curiously, "Brother Zhao, why are you free to come here? You just entered the myriad Dao grotto heavens, high immortal heaven, and should be busy cultivating." The two of them sat down in the hall. Zhao Wuji looked around and said, "I just came to sit and see how you are doing. Some time ago, you made several transactions with my Zhao clan's clansmen and allowed them to take advantage of you. I have to thank you for this. My Zhao clan migrated to the Scarlet Firmament continent and started from scratch. It wasn't easy." Su Fongda cupped his fists and said, "Senior brother and I can be considered to be fated. You and I entered the sect one after the other and appeared on the mortal list. Now, we are both cultivating in the high immortal heaven. Saying thank you is treating me as an outsider. Senior brother should be valued by the higher-ups in the myriad Dao grotto heaven. No matter how much they value you, it still depends on your cultivation and contributions. In short, strength is needed everywhere. But senior brother is extraordinary. You just entered the sect and already have a dojo. This is something that junior brother can't even imagine. It can be seen how much the sect values senior brother. Aren't you the same now? You have to make some contributions. Because of your contributions, you can enjoy the sect's resources. In the future, if junior brother has nothing to do, you can come over to my place and visit. Of course, from now on, you and I will be cultivating in the high immortal heaven. I came here to see you for another matter. I heard from the higher-ups of the myriad Dao grotto heaven that the sect will be making a big move soon. The 3 honorable Dao disciples will bring many people to the Xinjia Gate to train. I have already been selected. Junior brother, you should be selected as well. When the time comes, you and I will have to help each other. Is that so? Senior brother will have to take care of me in many ways." At this moment, from a certain angle, the two of them were not strangers at all. They were like old friends. Feigning civility, Su Fong put down his dignity and chatted and laughed with his enemy. The reason he called him junior brother was not because he wanted to steal Zhao Wuji's wealth or anything else. It was just to confirm the location of the purple Qi Dharma spirit. What did it feel like to chat and laugh with the enemy? Su Fong's heart was probably in pain. If the purple Qi Dharma spirit was really given to the immortal sealing sect, it would definitely be in the hands of an important person. Currently, he could only find the purple Qi Dharma spirit through Zhao Wuji. Zhao Wuji and Su Fong chatted for half a day and walked around the blade on mountain a few times before leaving. It really is that Fong Yu. He actually came to the high immortal heaven and is now on the same level as us. Su Fong was just about to return to the mountain valley to cultivate when he heard 2 voices outside the barrier. When he saw who it was, he was very surprised. "It's Yi Gurin and Wang Ming, who came to trade with me for the barbarian Mark Divine Power Cauldron. Could it be that they still have designs on me?" In the past, Su Fong could not afford to offend these 2 undying disciples. But now, with his strength, he could kill them. The experts of the past had become 2 small fries. After a while, Wang Ming and Yi Gurin left. During that time, several other undying disciples came over out of curiosity. It seemed the news of him entering the high immortal heaven was only slowly spreading. Chapter 288. I have to be careful in the immortal heavenly Tao, right? I offended quite a few people because of the barbarian Mark Cauldron. He returned to the valley and continued to absorb the spiritual altar's energy to strengthen himself. Now that he had become a disciple of the high immortal heaven, he could still feel the threat from all directions. Thinking back to Zhao Wuji's words, he frowned. The Xinjia Gate's training will be attended by the disciples of the 3 Dao of Venerables. If I join the Xinjia Gate, won't the Crown Prince Society be able to use the training as an excuse to act against me? But then again, since the disciples of the 3 venerated Daos and many other people would appear, it wouldn't be easy for the Crown Prince Society to openly attack him. Xinjia Gate, who wouldn't be curious about the most mysterious place in the immortal world? He continued to cultivate. With the sensing formation protecting the Taoite, he calmed down and merged with the fire cloud spirit gourd, the fire god elephant, the dragon subduing wood, the 13 fire crystal golems, the wind and fire spirit swords, and the rainbow, soul-absorbing bell. The true devil blood plate. After a long time, when he felt that he had reached the 5th level of immortal stage, he used the heavenly devil disintegration seal to separate a lot of his will and send it into the true devil blood plate. The magic treasure space contained a shocking amount of origin devil chi, especially the heavenly devil book's aura. The separated wills could be used to cultivate here and strengthen their yuan spirits according to the heavenly devil disintegration seal. From time to time, he would absorb the cold aura from the origin saint realm and dual cultivate. In truth, he was cultivating while his yuan spirit was cultivating. He had also entered a dual cultivation state. This dual cultivation state could only be achieved after reaching the undying realm. Any undying cultivator who wanted to cultivate at this level in the undying realm was simply dreaming. This was the first time Su Fong had cultivated so wholeheartedly since entering the immortal sealing sect. He had no choice but to abandon everything because his current situation was like a fire burning his eyebrows. The Crown Prince Society was constantly watching him. No matter what, they had to spur him on and push him forward. 2 years later, Yin Kaifeng arrived at Bladelight Mountain through the Wondrous Gate. After about an hour, Su Fong came out of the Wondrous Gate. His body carried the aura of dust. He must have been in the middle of settling down just a second ago. Your aura slowly contains the essence of our sect's aura, and you've advanced to the 5th layer of longevity realm. You must have fused with the Elder's runes. Yin Kaifeng sized him up shrewdly. Su Fong welcomed Yin Kaifeng into the dojo. Elder Jin is a peerless almighty. I only absorbed half of the rune talisman's power and broke through to the 5th stage of longevity in just over a year. I accidentally obtained some mysterious rune talismans that year. I absorbed the power of those rune talismans and broke through to the 5th stage of longevity in a short time. Compared to Elder Jin's rune talismans, those rune talismans are far inferior. Elder Jin's cultivation is already at the level of a peerless almighty, and he has long surpassed the young nascent soul realm. He is an existence that masters like us cannot hope to reach. Because of this, it means that you have received Elder Jin's attention. This time, I'm here to remind you and discuss something. The sect will be making a big move soon, and there will be a grand event. There will be a total of 100,000 people participating, and they will be led by the 3 current disciples. 100,000 people are participating in the training. Although Su Fong already knew about this, he never expected that 100,000 disciples would participate. Let me tell you about the 3 current disciples. The first is Prince Shui, who is the crown prince of the empire. He has been baptized by the imperial chi of heaven and earth since he was young, and he has absorbed a lot of fate, so his fate is unparalleled in the celestial sealing sect. The second is Huang Lingyao, who is also a woman like me, but her strength is on par with Prince Shui's. She has established the second party, the Fragrant Jade Party, and most of the members are women. The third is Sheng Changsheng, who has established the Stone Saint Party. I heard that he was born with divine strength, as indestructible as Vajra. The forest path was filled with the chirping of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Yin Kaifeng introduced the 3 strongest disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect to Su Fong, Prince Shui, Huang Lingyao, and Sheng Changsheng. These 3 abiding disciples all have their own great abhijnas. Furthermore, they have all mastered the 7 great abhijnas of our sect, especially the green fiendish primordial fire, the seal of 10,000 gods, and the celestial sealing manual. Their names have shaken the entire Zhua heaven realm, and their fame is spread far and wide. They have many connections, and they enjoy the sect's resources all year round. Furthermore, one of them will be the future leader of the sect. The Crown Prince Party, Prince Shui the Fragrant Jade Party, Huang Ling of the Stone Saint Party, Sheng Changsheng Wu. These disciples have the same status as the elders, or even surpass the current elders. The elders couldn't become the future leaders, but the three of them could. Furthermore, they were powerful, and they had mastered the 7 great divine abilities of the celestial sealing sect. Of all the undying disciples that Su Fong knew, none of them had mastered any of the 7 great divine abilities. What terrifying geniuses! They all possessed 7 great divine abilities. Perhaps that wasn't all. They definitely had other peerless techniques that didn't belong to the celestial sealing sect. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to become celestial sealing sect disciples. What? It's not your fault that you're intimidated by their glory. Even as a sect leader, my cultivation base is far beyond your reach. Seeing Su Fong's silence, Yin Kaifeng continued. As a person, you have to know your own strength and do your part well. Just properly cultivate in the celestial sealing sect. Don't you think so? Su Fong nodded. Disciple also doesn't know how far I can go. Right now, I'm thinking of ways to increase my strength. I'll take advantage of any opportunity to improve myself. Sect leader, disciple plans to participate in this training. I'll go to the celestial sealing sect to try my luck. I'm not willing to be mediocre for the rest of my life. At the very least, one day in the future, I'll be able to bask in the glory of the 3 great Tao's disciples. I'm here to seek your opinion. Since you agree, then prepare well. There's still some time to prepare. After all, 100,000 disciples is not a small number. Moreover, these 100,000 disciples are the most outstanding geniuses today. They need to be selected step by step. Every sect also needs to determine the members through internal competitions. Not every disciple can participate. I'll take my leave first. Yin Kaifeng left as soon as he said that. In a flash, he disappeared. It turned out that Su Fong had already decided to participate in the celestial sealing sect's training. The last time he went to the heavenly gourd domain, he saw the uncanny workmanship of that heaven and earth. Now that he was about to go to the celestial sealing sect, only the dark forest was left in the Zhuotian domain. Of course, there were also other mysterious places. Only by constantly training and experiencing trials and hardships could one become an almighty that could defy the world. Buzz. The enchantment was activated again. He had only rested for a few days. Why was someone here again? When he arrived at the enchantment, he saw that it was Qian Huanyun. He welcomed Qian Huanyun into the sect. She told him that she had been training into Yuan City, the heavenly gourd domain, and other places during this period of time. That was why she knew that he had entered the high celestial heaven to cultivate. Qian Huanyun came to see him not only to catch up with him, but also to ask Su Fong if he wanted to participate in the celestial sealing sect's training. She also hoped that Su Fong could cooperate with her in this training. Everyone knew what kind of place the celestial sealing sect was. It was called a training ground, but no one knew how many disciples would fall in it. If he had helpers, it would be like the 100 years training. Not only could he survive, but he could also obtain treasures. It was the best of both worlds. In the end, Su Fong agreed first and beat Qian Huanyun. This was because there was a buzzing sound coming from the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. Master, the flaming cloud spiritual gourd has absorbed a large amount of spiritual water from the domain and is successfully merging with the sword Qi primordial spirit. We have to find a natural territory to let the flaming cloud spiritual gourd absorb the heaven and earth primordial spirit, perfectly merge with the sword Qi, and give birth to a primordial spirit. Xuanhuang's urgent voice sounded in his mind. It turned out that the flaming cloud spiritual gourd and the sword Qi primordial spirit had merged. There was no time to lose. He hurriedly left a thought to Yin Kaifeng and left the celestial sealing sect through the portal. 2 hours later, meteorite. Not long after leaving the celestial sealing sect, he directly crushed the teleportation talisman and finally entered the meteorite. He left the meteorite and went to a wider world. The meteorite was too close to the celestial sealing sect, and Yuan City was nearby. The birth of the spiritual gourd's primordial spirit would cause a commotion. If it was discovered by a cultivator, even a young nascent realm cultivator would want to snatch it. Master, don't worry. Mo Feng Jun, Zhua Zuifeng, and Xiaoho Ling appeared. After receiving the order, they went to hide in the surroundings and prohibited any cultivators from appearing. Flaming cloud, spiritual gourd. He raised his hand, and his palm faced the sky. With a swish, the Xian Guang exploded, and the flaming cloud, spiritual gourd appeared. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a 3-meter-tall, flaming red gourd. Spiritual qi and flames spurted out, and some sword-shaped flames overflowed from it. Peng Yanjin, Gao, Cheng, Wu Wei, you're the higher-ups of the Myriad Treasures sect. You mainly cultivate the Tao of equipment refinement. I need your help now. He used the life-shrinking technique and made Mo Fengjun, Zhou Zuifeng, and Xiahou Ling, who were hiding in the surroundings, cooperate to form a 1-mile-wide concealed space. In this concealed space, no one could sense the aura inside. Whoosh! 21 experts appeared. They were all Yang Soul Realm cultivators of the Myriad Treasures sect. Everyone was immediately attracted by the flaming cloud, spiritual gourd, as if it was going to spew out a shocking amount of energy. Peng Yanjin immediately bowed. Master, this is a spiritual gourd from the heavenly gourd domain. However, it's not the mother gourd. It seems to be a nurtured child gourd. It contains a lot of aura nurtured by humans. Su Fong stared at everyone. This is the flaming cloud, spiritual gourd that I accidentally obtained from the Broken Sword sect. The spiritual gourd contains a few types of spiritual fire, including the green evil true fire from the Celestial Sealing sect. Back then, I implanted the sword Qi primordial spirit of a flying sword into it. After absorbing the spiritual water of the domain, it finally gave birth to a primordial spirit. All of you are experts in equipment refinement. Do it and make the flaming cloud spiritual gourd to become a true spiritual treasure with a primordial spirit. Do it. The 21 experts instantly moved and appeared around the flaming cloud spiritual gourd. They all activated their empty bags. Su Fong did not forcefully take these empty bags. The treasures were still theirs. Earth Dragon Water, Star Quenching Fire, Spirit Summoning Array. The cultivators either spat out a special spiritual water or opened their mouths to spit out spark-like flames. At the same time, they formed hand seals. An array surrounded the flaming cloud spiritual gourd. When the spiritual water merged and the star quenching fire burned, the flaming cloud spiritual gourd also spewed out a shocking amount of flames. The spiritual gourd also started to shed some impurities. During this time, the flaming cloud spiritual gourd kept shaking. Furthermore, it was crazily absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. One could clearly see the spirit qi rolling over like a storm. Earth Dragon Water, Star Quenching Fire, Spirit Summoning Array. Su Fong could not interfere at all. He could only ask the 21 experts in equipment refinement to help. Gao Cheng looked over. Master, the flaming cloud spiritual gourd needs your yang qi. Yang qi is the life of all things in heaven and earth. If you have yang qi, you will succeed in about 3 months. Supreme yang qi. Su Fong came to the side and released a cloud of white yang qi from his palm. This was a peerless power that could only be obtained when one cultivated the 9 Yang 9 transformations and combined it with a primordial chaos sage. At this moment, everyone was paying attention to the changes in the flaming cloud spiritual gourd. During this process, the 21 cultivators condensed an unusual Dharma seal. Su Fong learned that they were condensing a defense for the primordial spirit. It was equivalent to putting on a divine armor of flesh for the primordial spirit. With a defense, the primordial spirit would not be easily dispersed by the force. It would also be convenient for self-cultivation. This was an important point that only equipment refinement experts knew. In less than 2 months, the combined power of the 21 cultivators finally caused the flaming cloud spiritual gourd to shake violently, causing a gust of wind to sweep up in the sky. Chapter 289. Crackle. Under the refinement of the experts, the flaming cloud spirit gourd kept peeling off some fragments like red-hot steel, removing impurities layer by layer. A whirlpool of natural spirit force formed above, and the flaming cloud spirit gourd greedily absorbed it. The mouth of the gourd was like a volcano erupting. Gradually, a half-foot-tall flaming gourd emerged and absorbed the spirit force of heaven and earth along with the spirit gourd. The flaming gourd emitted a few natural spirit fires that Su Fong was familiar with. The strongest was still the green fiend true fire. It rotated from time to time and stared at the surroundings. Origin spirit. This was the perfect origin spirit that was born after the flaming cloud spirit gourd and the sword chi origin spirit merged. Chi. Above the sky, a natural spirit light suddenly appeared. With such a movement, Su Fong immediately looked at Peng Yanjin and the others. Why does it have the aura of nirvanic power? Peng Yanjin replied, Master, this is the spirit cleansing when a spirit treasure is born. It is similar to refining pills. The spirit cleansing of a magic treasure comes from heaven and earth, and heaven and earth will cleanse the spirit of the magic treasure. The spirit cleansing power contains all kinds of aura and also the power of nirvanic power. Buzz. It turned out that magic treasures also needed spirit cleansing. It was an eye-opener. To the current Su Fong, he could refine pills, set up arrays, refine puppets, and rune patterns, but he knew nothing about refining weapons. The spirit cleansing power hit the origin spirit and the flaming cloud spirit gourd. Both of them suddenly emitted a mysterious silver light. There was another crackle and dazzling sparks. Then, the spirit cleansing power dissipated, and the flaming cloud spirit gourd gradually calmed down. The natural spirit force in the surroundings also disappeared. Master, it's done. The 21 servants heaved a sigh of relief. With just a thought, Su Fong brought the flaming cloud spirit gourd to his palm. It was still fiery red, but there was a natural silver light on it. When he activated the gourd-shaped origin spirit stretched out a part of its body from the mouth of the gourd. It must have felt unfamiliar and returned. Everyone walked over. The spirit gourd origin spirit has just been born and still needs some time to grow. In the future, if we encounter some special natural forces, such as the power of nirvanic power, origin power, and so on, we can temper the origin spirit and make it grow faster. Su Fong sucked everyone into the first level of bound of heaven and earth. He, Mo Fong Jun, Zuefeng, and Xiao Ling flew towards the meteorite field. Peeling off a strand of divine thought, Su Fong came to the Xianhuang space and looked at Peng Yanjin, Gao Cheng, and Wu Wei. Are you confident that you can restore Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda to its perfect state? The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda is a peerless magic treasure that's about to become a Dao artifact. There aren't many of them in the Zhuotian realm. Aside from some mysterious Dao artifacts, no magic treasure can surpass it. It's a pity that this magic treasure is a little damaged. With our current strength, we can help a little, but we can't change anything in the short term. Also, we don't know what materials this magic treasure needs. Some materials are hard to find even now. Peng Yanjin answered truthfully. Su Fong finally had an idea of what to do. When he returned to the meteorite, Demon King Shangzuan and Luan Mo hurried to welcome him. In a secret underground cave. Master, during the time you were away, we've been sending a fixed amount of pills to the Immortal Bestowment Chamber of Commerce every year. Almost all kinds of materials are lacking into Yuan City, so I want to Zhun Fa Sacred Sect and other big forces to look for them. Sitting down on the throne, Demon King Shangzuan and Luan Mo began to report to Su Fong. Everything was on the right track. Su Fong had accumulated an astonishing amount of wealth over the past 20 years. But compared to the Ku family in Chilean Star, this amount of wealth was nothing. It could only reach the level of an empire. Su Fong called out the 63 immortal realm slaves from the Thousand Treasures Path and handed them over to Demon King Shangzuan and Luan Mo. From now on, they would be in charge of refining pills. With so many powerful immortal realm masters, the amount of immortal realm pills would naturally increase. What made Su Fong happy was that Luan Mo had also broken through to the Yang Infant Realm and became a Yang Infant Realm true demon. Demon King Shangzuan's cultivation had also increased to the 4th stage of the Yang Infant Realm. If he merged with the true demon's blood, his strength would undergo another great transformation. But Su Fong still had to test him. Demon King Shangzuan said again, "After the previous incident, there are more and more spies from the Supreme God sect hiding into Yuan City. They're constantly looking for the source of the Immortal Realm pills. Master, what do you think we should do? There are too many spies in the Supreme God sect. If this continues, I can't guarantee my safety." Supreme God sect big forces were not easy to deal with. Everyone was afraid of them. But Su Fong was not afraid now, including Demon King Shangzuan, Wan Mo, and King Leech. He had 27 young infant realm masters in his hands. It was more than enough to deal with the spies and spies of the Supreme God sect. Su Fong sneered, "This is the territory of the Celestial Sealing sect, not the ruins of the Spirit sect. These disciples of the Supreme God sect should take a look at where they are if they want to lord over this place. These people must be eliminated. Otherwise, just like what you're worried about, as time goes by, they will infiltrate into the various forces of the Yuan City. Sooner or later, they will discover some clues, and we will be the ones to be passive." Mo Feng Jun snorted. "Master is lacking servants to refine large amounts of Immortal Realm pills. Moreover, Master has a strong army now. It won't be a problem to deal with the spies and spies of the Supreme God sect. Demon King Shangzuan, go and do this immediately. Purposely leave some clues for them. We'll go and set up a formation. This time, it's different from the previous time. We'll set up a big trap and wait for them." He would not allow any threat to exist in the secret cave. The previous mission took 20 years. Who knew how long the next mission would take? Once the Supreme God sect discovered this place, Demon King Shangzuan and Luan Mo alone would not be able to protect it. He would not allow any threat to the existence of the secret cave. After they left the cave, Demon King Shangzuan flew towards the Yuan City alone. Su Fong, Mo Feng Jun, Xiaoho Ling, and Zhou Zuifeng flew towards a more spacious place. About 2 hours later, they appeared at the territory where they dealt with the Supreme God sect last time. However, it was not in the desert, but in the deep forest far away. Mo Feng Jun, Xiaoho Ling, and Zhou Zuifeng started to set up a formation. They cooperated with Su Fong to create the 8-origin spiritual elephant formation with the fire god elephant and the 13 fire crystal stone golems as the main force. Soon, the formation was completed. It stretched for 3 miles, and there was a large amount of formation inside. They sat cross-legged at the top of the formation and absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. They waited for Demon King Shangzuan to lure the spies of the Supreme God sect over. Su Fong used his divine sense to enter the mysterious yellow space and called Peng Yanjin over. "Can you refine the instant teleportation talisman?" There are 2 important conditions to refine the instant teleportation talisman. First, you have to master the divine image absolute art. Second, you have to possess the divine image absolute art, Peng Yanjin said. You can only master the divine image absolute art when you reach the Yang infant realm. Other than the heavens chosen, it's hard for anyone to master the indestructible and undying cultivators. Fortunately, we can work together to activate the divine image absolute art. However, the instant teleportation talisman is a problem. We have to go to the deep space outside the small world to look for it. Of course, there are some that are sold, but the price is very expensive. With these 2 treasures combined with the divine image absolute art and some spatial restrictive spells, we can refine the instant teleportation talisman. We can only refine the instant teleportation talisman for 10 miles, 100 miles, and a few thousand miles. It's very difficult to refine the instant teleportation talisman for 10,000 miles. It's almost impossible. What kind of treasure is the instant teleportation talisman? Su Fong felt a headache coming on. It's a substance formed by the deep space. It can't exist in the small world, but in the infinite deep space. The instant teleportation talisman has the innate ability to travel through space and fuse with space. Moreover, it's weightless, so it's the best and only material to refine the instant teleportation talisman. There are many uses for the instant teleportation talisman. Some people use it to refine flying-type magic treasures with astonishing speed. Some use it to refine rune talismans, which can be combined with the divine image absolute art. It seems that refining the instant teleportation talisman is really difficult. No wonder even the indestructible disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect only have a few instant teleportation talismans. Most of them are around 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, and 10,000 miles. I only got a few by chance. Refining the instant teleportation talisman requires a lot of energy. It's impossible to refine it in a day or two. The Myriad Treasures sect is a large refining sect. It's easy for them, but for most cultivators, it's as difficult as ascending to the heavens. This matter has to be put aside for now. It's not a big problem. If we encounter Myriad Treasures sect cultivators in the future, we'll just have to find a way to suppress some of them. Su Fong gained a lot of knowledge again. After everyone cultivated for a month, the Demon King Supreme finally made a move. He was flying in their direction and successfully attracted a few spies from the Supreme God sect. Just a few small fish. Su Fong thought that there would be a lot of experts coming. He asked the Demon King Supreme to fly directly into the formation so that the spies could see the formation. He also deliberately released some of the fragrance of the impotence pill, making it seem like this was the base camp for refining the impotence pill. 2 of the spies stayed behind, and the rest of them flew towards the Yuan city as expected. After a few days, spies from the Supreme God sect continuously appeared in the surroundings. When a young nascent realm spy appeared, Su Fong had a premonition that the Supreme God sect was about to make a move. As expected, just 2 days later, more than 40 auras surged over and displayed the power of a great perfection realm expert. What's more, there were even 5 young nascent realm experts. Mo Fengjun, Zhuo Zuifeng, and Xiahou Ling also secretly sensed. Mo Fengjun sneered. One of them is very powerful. He's at the 8th stage of the young nascent realm. He's a tough nut to crack. 8th stage of the young nascent realm. Seems like he's also a big figure in the Supreme God sect. It's just nice to capture these 5 people. Mo Fengjun, are you confident in defeating an 8th stage expert? Master, you're underestimating me. Before I got the reverse killing golden light sword, I was at the 8th stage of the young nascent realm. Now, I'm at the 9th stage. However, I don't know what ability this person has. Without the formation, I'll probably take him down in 10 moves. If I use the formation, I'll only need 3 moves, the latter answered confidently. Get ready. Su Fong didn't summon the 21 Myriad Treasures sect slaves. Just a few of them and the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation were enough to suppress these people. He sensed that the 5 expert from the Supreme God sect were getting closer and closer. They hid their auras 100 meters away from the formation and secretly spied on it, as if they wanted to see through the formation. However, a peerless formation like the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation wasn't something a few young nascent realm experts could see through. In the end, the expert with the highest cultivation, the 8th stage young nascent realm expert, decided to take action. After waiting for about half a day, another 20 or so experts arrived. Among them, there were 3 young nascent realm experts. The Supreme God sect had sent a total of 70 people. They were determined to break the formation and get the pill recipe. The 8 young nascent realm experts took action together. They arrived outside the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation and combined their strength to slowly open the formation. After spending a lot of effort, they finally managed to open a hole. Previously, the 5 young nascent realm experts brought 40 or so people into the formation. The remaining 3 young nascent realm experts and 20 or so imperishable realm experts flew around the formation. This was to coordinate with the outside. You guys go and suppress the experts outside the formation. I'll activate the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation and use the formation to entangle the experts inside. At this moment, Su Fong clapped his hands on the formation's imprint. Chi-Chi, Mo Fengjun brought Zhuo Zuifeng and Xiahou Ling and charged out of the formation like lightning. They unexpectedly released their terrifying young nascent realm strength and ambushed the 20 or so experts from the Supreme God sect. In terms of strength, Mo Feng-jun and the other two were naturally much stronger. We've been ambushed again. The three young nascent realm experts who were ambushed immediately shouted with their divine wills. Bang! A terrifying force spread out above the formation where the 20 or so experts were. The 20 or so imperishable realm experts were either killed or knocked unconscious. Chapter 290. As for the three young soul experts, they were also shaken by the power of the sneak attack. However, they activated their defenses in time and blocked part of the power. Mo Feng-jun strangely appeared behind the three of them. Since you came here sneakily, don't even think about leaving alive. Zhuo Zuifeng and Xiahou Ling also laughed eerily. We've been ambushed. Teleportation talisman, go. The cultivation of the three experts of the Supreme God sect was about the same as Zhuo Zuifeng and Xiahou Ling. However, compared to Mo Feng-jun, it was like the difference between an ant and an elephant. Seeing Mo Feng-jun was like seeing the Grim Reaper. The three of them did not care about their companions inside the formation and took out 3 teleportation talismans and instantly crushed them. Divine Image Dharma Ground. Mo Feng-jun suddenly turned into countless illusions and instantly swept across the sky where the formation was located. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 3 experts crushed the teleportation talismans and disappeared along with the teleportation power, leaving only after images. Bang! 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 However, just as they disappeared, they were hit by an invisible force and exploded one after another. They were heavily injured and were trapped in the surrounding space that was starting to transform. The 3 of them were terrified. Divine Image Dharma Ground. The teleportation talisman's accuracy is shocking and surpasses the limits of cultivators. However, the teleportation talisman is not omnipotent. It is unable to pass through barriers or controlled spaces. The Divine Image Dharma Ground is my space and a domain that I control. Where can you escape to? In the transformed space, a giant hand appeared with Mo Feng-jun standing on top of it. If Master didn't need you, I would have killed you immediately. Don't kill us. The 3 heavily injured experts knew that they could not escape and directly chose to submit. Mo Feng-jun imprisoned the 3 of them and sucked the imperishable realm experts who were still alive into his artifact. Then, he immediately flew into the formation with Zhuo Zuifeng and Xiahou Ling. We've actually been ambushed. Don't be anxious. Just break this formation. In the space where the layers of the formation were located, more than 40 experts of the Supreme God sect followed behind the 5 young soul experts. They were all frightened. The strongest cultivator, who was at the 8th stage of the Yang Soul realm, took out a high-grade flying sword. The other 4 also took out their Dharma treasures. This person was the first to activate his flying sword. It flew straight up and released a shocking amount of sword chi. This sword wanted to break the barrier. With his Yang Soul Stage 8 strength, it was completely possible. Fire God Elephant. Who would have thought that in the sky above the sword chi, a giant monster shadow would appear? It was actually a giant burning elephant. On the back of the giant elephant, Su Feng stood at the top. Riding the Fire God Elephant, he looked like the king of the elephant clan, majestic and awe-inspiring. The expert from the Supreme God sect continued to activate his flying sword, wanting to use his sword chi to cut the giant elephant apart. He roared angrily in the air. How dare you block my path? Chi the Fire God Elephant was raised high up in the sky. Its long trunk curled up and absorbed the huge force of the 8 divine elephant formation. Then it stomped down towards the sword chi. Peng Peng, giant monster, was indeed a giant monster. The elephant's foot shook the sword chi away, but the Fire God Elephant remained unmoved. The spirit treasure is actually a fire spirit treasure. With a clang, the flying sword controlled by the strong cultivator was knocked back. He realized that the Fire Divine Elephant was not a monster, but a magical treasure because he could feel the power of a magical treasure from the collision. The four of you work together to break the formation. We'll deal with them next time. The expert raised his hand, and the four young soul experts flew over. Since you've come to my formation, you still want to run from the 8 divine elephant formation? 8 heavenly restrictions. Su Fong controlled the fire god elephant, his eyes blazing as he looked around. All of a sudden, a formation appeared around them. Layers upon layers of fiery figures appeared, carrying the power of the formation, and pressed down on the space around them. The 8th Heavenly Origin Stage expert was startled. Together with the other 4 experts, they activated their magical treasures, causing the formation's aura to shatter. The expert was shocked. The 8 Divine Elephant Formation is impossible. The 8 Divine Elephant Formation is the legendary Spirit Sex Peerless Protective Formation. How could it be controlled by you to scare people? As for the 40 imperishable experts behind him, he didn't care about them at all. Master, 3 silhouettes came from afar. Don't interfere for now. I'll let them see the power of the 8 Divine Elephant Formation. 8 Heavenly Restrictions. Su Fong shouted domineeringly. His hands slapped down, and the fire god elephant beneath him once more rose up, spitting out flames from its trunk and mouth. Whoosh! This space underwent a shocking change. In almost an instant, the entire space was covered by 8 spatial seals, causing the formation's space to freeze. Rumble. At this moment, the space's power brought about a terrifying suppression. The 5 flying experts were first affected, and then they all vomited blood. As for the 40 imperishable experts behind them, most of them had already fainted, and a few of them were bleeding from their 7 orifices. I'll leave them to you. I don't want the fire god elephant to directly fight against the experts, so as to avoid harming these treasures. Mo Fongjun, Zuefeng, and Xiaoling bowed and came over. At the same time, they controlled the power of the array, which turned into a large amount of mystic light and immediately surrounded the 5 young soul experts. Su Fong sucked the fire god elephant and fire crystal golem into his palm. The fire god elephant and fire crystal golem have cultivated for so many years. Combined with the formation, they can already restrict low-level young soul experts. Any imperishable realm cultivator will have to be killed. His current strength had already surpassed the imperishable realm, and he could use the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation to kill young soul stage 5 experts. Unfortunately, the fire deity elephant and the fire crystal man were still growing. Each time he used them, Su Fong's heart ached. That was especially so when he had clashed with a high-grade flying sword. He had wanted to see the fire deity elephant's height and see if it was comparable to a high-grade immortal artifact. The result did not disappoint him. Pa. Suddenly, a fierce battle broke out below. It turned out to be the young soul stage 8 expert from the Supreme God sect. Unfortunately, he had encountered Mo Fongjun. The 2 experts used strength to fight strength. With a few palms and a few auras, Mo Fongjun surpassed his opponent in both speed and strength. The other 4 young soul experts were suppressed by the formation, as well as Zuefeng and Xiaoling Pu. A terrifying aura swept the young soul stage 8 expert. Mo Fongjun had already lost his will to fight, so he seized the opportunity and used his aura to shake him until he vomited blood. With a flick of his finger, Mo Fongjun wanted to suppress the young soul stage 8 expert. Divine Image Defense. The young soul stage 8 expert was unwilling to be suppressed like this. Ignoring his injuries, he activated the divine image that cultivators yearned for even in their dreams. A Xinguang wrapped around him. Crack! Crash! Mo Fongjun's powerful finger force hit the divine image. The divine image immediately shook and shattered from the center. The finger force also weakened a lot, but it still pierced through the chest of the young soul stage 8 expert. There was no great magical ability. In just a dozen breaths, the outcome of the battle between the 2 peerless experts was decided. This was not as simple as deciding the outcome, but a fight to the death. The loser would not have a second chance. With a whoosh, Mo Fongjun took the opportunity to imprison the expert, while Su Fong went to the side and took the opportunity to suck him into the true demonic blood plate. You guys are still not obedient. Mo Fongjun looked at the four resisting Yang Soul experts. Each of them was only Yang Soul Stage 4 to Yang Soul Stage 3. They were not his match at all. When the four of them saw that there was no hope and that they were trapped in the formation, even their strongest expert had been suppressed, they immediately lost their courage and withdrew their aura. Su Fong also sucked the true demonic blood plate into the true demonic blood plate. He then waved his hand, and the 40-plus unconscious Supreme God Sect disciples were also sucked into the true demonic blood plate. Several experts surrounded him. Congratulations, Master, for obtaining another 8 Yang Soul experts. Let's go back first. After absorbing the formation, the surroundings returned to normal, and they left this place. Meteorite field. After returning to the secret paradise, Su Fong first entered the true demonic blood plate. Whether it was the Yang Soul experts or the immortal experts, they were all terrified by the devil chi. If they absorbed the devil chi, they would easily fall into the devil path. The devil path's cultivation method was neither human nor ghost, neither fish nor fowl. They would never be able to live like a normal person. You only have one choice, and that is to submit to me. Make your choice. Su Fong was not polite. He was like a judge floating in the sky. Master. Over 60 people knelt down, still trembling in the devil chi. Heavenly devil imprint. Using a divine ability, he used the true demonic blood plate to absorb a large amount of devil chi, until the heavenly devil imprint was planted in their minds. Whoosh! Over 60 people appeared at the center of the immortal cave. Devil King Shangzuan and Luan Mo also rushed over. Su Fong looked at them. You need help. These 8 people are all Yang Soul experts of the Supreme God Sect, especially this person. His cultivation has reached the 8th stage of the Yang Soul realm. You 10 experts will stay here and refine pills together. If you need any resources, just go and buy them. With over 100 immortal experts and these 8 experts, Master doesn't need to worry. Even if the immortal sealing sect wants to make things difficult for us, they'll have to see how strong we are first, said Devil King Shangzuan. You also need to be careful. When you go to the Yuan City in the future, or buy materials, bring more people. The Supreme God Sect has fallen to us twice, so there will definitely be a third time. Next time, they'll also send their true experts to deal with us. We won't let go of the Yang strengthening pill formula. You can also reward the others with some resources. When I'm not here, you can properly discuss the distribution of resources. Make sure you refine enough pills every year. Yes, Master. The 10 Yang Soul experts obediently replied. After that, Su Fong continued to cultivate in his secret immortal cave. During that time, he changed his identity and went to the Yuan City to buy origin jades and profound yellow stones. He only managed to buy a portion of them, so that the profound yellow stones and flame god mammoths could absorb some of their essence. About a year later, Su Fong returned to the immortal sealing sect. When he returned, the atmosphere was completely different. Just as Yin Kaifeng had said, the 7 heavens and countless immortal sects were all selecting disciples to participate in the trial. They would select 10,000 longevity disciples from the low immortal heaven, 40,000 outstanding geniuses from the high immortal heaven, and 40,000 from the immortal heaven and immortal heaven. In the end, they would also select some Yang Soul experts. The immortal sealing sect's foundation was truly terrifying. 100,000 disciples participating in the trial was probably enough to shake the entire Zhua Heaven realm. With so many disciples, it would take a long time to sort them all out. Blade Point Mountain, when he returned, he sensed that the immortal heaven of the Ice Moon Heavenly Paradise was also selecting disciples. That had nothing to do with him, so he returned to cultivate. Moss Master, where he activated the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd. A child's voice came from the Flaming Cloud Spirit Space. His spiritual sense arrived in front of the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd. It turned out that the origin spirit of the Spirit Gourd was responding to his activation. When he entered the space, the origin spirit of the Spirit Gourd rushed over like a child to welcome him. Another spirit treasure. This feels wonderful. If the flaming cloud spirit gourd continues to grow, it will definitely become a peerless treasure in the future. Although the origin spirit was very weak, it would be able to control the spirit gourd's cultivation in the future. Su Fong didn't have to worry about it anymore. The next time should be when the dragon taming would finishes forming its origin spirit. Flame Godmamoth, the flaming cloud spirit gourd, already had its own origin spirit. Naturally, the dragon taming wood was the only thing left in the spirit treasure. The 13 flame crystal golems forming their origin spirits wasn't something that could be done overnight. Chapter 291. Another period of time passed. Su Fong had been cultivating in all aspects. The rune talisman that Jin Shankong gave me still has half of its power left. It can help me reach the 6th stage of the eternal life realm. Suddenly, he stopped cultivating and took out a rune talisman. It was the treasure that the Supreme Elder of the Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven had given him. Training at the Xinjia Gate is dangerous, and the Crown Prince Society will not let me go. Why don't I break through to the next realm and increase my overall strength? Originally, he wanted to save this rune talisman and use it in an emergency. However, he still activated it on the spot. He took out spirit stones and set up a spiritual altar to absorb the shocking power from the rune talisman. Then, he felt a majestic power that was similar to a blessing. The majestic power surged in his body, hiding the demonic aura and most of the yang aura. He used the 100 acupoints finger art to guide the energy to attack the 2 yang meridians, the purple aura spirit and the divine aperture. His meridians and muscles were strengthened. Under the majestic power, Su Fong felt Jin Shankong's profundity and strength. He was definitely a young, nascent realm existence. Not to mention Jin Shankong. Even a young, nascent realm expert was still a giant in front of Su Fong. If he did not have various methods, he would not be able to withstand a single attack from a young, nascent realm expert. Jin Shankong was a legendary existence, while a young, nascent realm expert was a giant that stood at the top. Su Fong was still 2 realms away from the peak, undying and indestructible. After breaking through for a period of time, in order to increase the speed, he took out some spiritual items to help. Every now and then, a large amount of impurities would leak out. Buzz. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the array. He stopped cultivating and came to the array. It was Yin Kaifeng. I came to find you today to inform you that you can go to the outer region islands first to familiarize yourself with the environment. The Xinjia Gate is in the depths. Yin Kaifeng came to the training hall. A large number of undying and indestructible disciples are very familiar with the outer region islands. They have been there many times to train and collect various spiritual items. Now, the sect is still selecting disciples from different training halls. Most of the confirmed disciples of the Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven have started to move. You can go there first. If you're willing to wait, you can go with the undying and indestructible experts. After she finished speaking, she gave him a map. The outer region islands. That was where the Xinjia Gate was located. According to the map, the Outer Realm Archipelago was located in the middle of the Crimson Firmament Continent, the Starfish Sky Island, and other continents and islands. As expected of an archipelago, there were at least 100 islands of various sizes indicated on the map. The Xinjia Gate was in the middle of a large number of islands, on a huge island called the Flying Immortal Island. Compared to the state of Zhao, the Flying Celestial Island was even bigger. The extraterritorial islands. Isn't the extraterritorial land similar to the extraterritorial secret realm of the Starfish Heavenly Island? Su Fong asked Yin Kaifeng again after putting away the map. The extraterritorial secret realm of the Starfish Sky Island is indeed a mystical place. I've gone there many times in search of spiritual items, but I was almost trapped by a moving island a few times. The waters around the extraterritorial islands are also extremely dangerous, especially with countless water demons and giant monsters residing there. There are also countless islands there, and each island is occupied by all kinds of rogue cultivators. The terrain is very good, and it has a lot to do with the extraterritorial islands location. The extraterritorial islands just so happen to be located in the central waters of the Zhuotian realm where the cultivators are concentrated. Any force or cultivator can enter the Flying Immortal Island to search for all kinds of treasures there. Isn't the Flying Immortal Island just like the Xinjia Gate? I heard that it is extremely dangerous, and many cultivators have died there. These people are still flocking there. Su Fang was puzzled. This is all because of the Xinjia Gate. Yin Kaifeng explained in detail. According to research, the Xinjia Gate has been in the Zhuotian realm for about 100,000 years. 100,000 years, how long is that? Because of this long period of time, the Xinjia Gate landed on the Flying Immortal Island and brought with it the power of the extraterritorial islands, which gradually changed the Flying Immortal Island. The power of the extraterritorial islands doesn't belong to a small world, but is a combination of a large world and all kinds of complicated stars and deep space. The most important thing is the Xinjia Gate. This peerless Tao artifact itself contains the aura of a large world, and it has unknowingly changed the aura of the Flying Immortal Island in the past 100,000 years, causing it to become a place with dense spirit qi that surpasses any territory in the Zhuotian realm. Some spiritual items, demons, and spirit beasts grew up in that complex environment, becoming treasures that various forces and cultivators fought over. The spiritual items, they all contain the power of the extraterritorial islands, and many geniuses obtained all kinds of treasures there and rose up. I heard that when the Xinjia Gate first ascended, it caused a bloody storm. Our sect's ancient records have introduced it, and it's indeed like that. When it first ascended, not only did it shake the entire Zhuotian realm, even many small worlds outside the Zhuotian realm had a Tao artifact descend. Many experts from other worlds came to kill them. Later on, the countless experts and forces of the Zhuotian realm slowly stopped fighting and worked together to chase away the experts from other worlds. They also stopped fighting over the Xinjia Gate because after that battle, countless experts proved that it wasn't a Tao artifact that anyone could have. Without the opportunity to unravel the secrets within, one would never be able to obtain the Tao artifact. Later on, it formed the extraterritorial islands, which caused more cultivators to enter the extraterritorial islands to fight for treasures. That place is a place without any restrictions. So many cultivators with dreams went there to search for immortal opportunities. Most cultivators didn't dare to enter the depths of the Xinjia Gate, and most of them went to the Flying Immortal Island to search for various spiritual items, as well as the treasures of the giants that died in the battle 100,000 years ago. So that's how it is. If Master hadn't told me all of this in advance, who knows how much suffering this disciple would have had to go there. I'm your guide, so I should be responsible for you. This time, the 3 great venerable Tao disciples will be in charge of this training. Our Tao field is under the charge of Huang Lingyao. After you go to the extraterritorial islands, you just have to wait for her to summon you. This is also a test for the 3 great venerable Tao disciples by the sect. The test comes from all aspects. With the protection of a genius like her, as long as you don't encounter any accidents during your training in Xinjia Gate, you should be safe. I'll go there now, and I hope you can come back in one piece. Yin Kaifeng left after giving her instructions. After Su Fang sent her off, she sent a message to Qian Huanyan. After a few days, Qian Huanyan came. She wasn't alone, as there was another man and woman. There's strength in numbers. Every island in the Outer Realm Archipelago is extremely dangerous. If we follow the undying and indestructible experts, they might be able to obtain any treasures. Therefore, the 4 of us will form a small team this time. Su Fang welcomed the 3 of them into the Tao field, and then Qian Huanyun introduced the 2 to Su Fang. They were all disciples of the Ice Moon Cave Heaven, but different masters were in charge of them. The woman was called Lin Yining, and her cultivation was at the 4th stage of the Undying Realm. Her cultivation and strength were above Qian Huanyun's. The man was called Lu Wei, and his cultivation was the highest at the 6th stage of the Undying Realm. According to Qian Huanyun's introduction, he seemed to be pursuing Lin Yining. Su Fong was the weakest at the 5th stage of the immortal realm. Qian Huanyun had broken through the 2nd stage of the undying realm, so she was also a master. Since they were forming a team, Su Fong didn't have any objections, but he couldn't say anything now. After all, Qian Huanyun was the leader, and it would make things difficult for both sides. Half a day later, the 4 of them went out. A few days later, after flying over to Yuan City, they bought some things and continued on their way. In the air, Lu Wei, who had been protecting Lin Yining, suddenly cupped his fist to Su Fong. "Junior brother Fong, I didn't expect you to be so fast. You haven't been out of breath or blushing these days. I heard that Master Kai Feng gave you a high-grade magic weapon called the Wind and Fire Spirit Sword. Show it to me." "I do have this magic weapon, but I'm still in the process of fusing it, so I can't use it to avoid making a fool of myself. I know my place, so I can't show it off like the others," Su Fong replied indifferently. "The Wind and Fire Spirit Sword is a high-grade magic weapon. If you show it in this place, people will definitely try to steal it." Lin Yining gave Lu Wei a look, then smiled sweetly and looked at Qian Huanyun. "Recently, the aphrodisiac pill is popular. I've taken this kind of pill before, and it's really much better than the pure spirit pill. I feel that taking one can increase one's vitality by several years and make one's appearance more perfect." Lu Wei said proudly, "Senior brother, you bought a lot this time. It's enough for our training this time." Qian Huanyun said, "I bought a lot too. The aphrodisiac pill is too expensive. This kind of pill is starting to spread in the sect. Its medicinal power is amazing, and it's very beneficial for recovering from injuries. Junior brother Fong, why didn't you buy this pill? It's getting more and more popular now." Lin Yining opened her eyes wide in curiosity. She seemed to be very curious about Su Fong, who had suddenly advanced to the high immortal heaven realm. When she said this, Qian Huanyun was also very curious. Only Lu Wei was a little curious. When he saw that the 2 girls weren't paying attention to him and were instead paying attention to an immortal heaven realm weakling, he was naturally unhappy. "It's very expensive. Even if you want to buy it, you have to think twice. I only bought about 10,000 pills." Su Fong smiled bitterly. "It's indeed too expensive. I also want it, but I don't have the money." These words made Lu Wei reveal a superior smile, and his aura also changed. Just like this, the 4 of them traveled at a normal speed away from the central territory of the Crimson Nimbus continent. 3 months later, they appeared at the edge of the continent. The water region was full of danger. The 4 of them decided to rest in the forest first and recharge their energy before heading out. After all, this training would only be held a few years later. "Junior sister, look at Fangyu. His cultivation isn't very high, but he's always a little arrogant. We are all in the undying realm, and he's the only one in the immortal heaven realm. If it weren't for us, he wouldn't have been able to survive and reach the flying celestial island by himself." In the dense forest, Su Fong and Qian Huanyun floated in midair above 2 big trees, meditating. Lu Wei and Lin Yining were meditating on a patch of grass 100 meters away. The atmosphere was very quiet, but Su Fong heard Lu Wei and Lin Yining whispering to each other. "But I heard that he was still able to become the first on the mortal ranking list in the lower immortal heaven after losing his golden core. At that time, we were still in the lower immortal heaven, but we didn't even manage to enter the sky arena." Lin Yining spoke softly, as if she was afraid that others would hear her. "Junior sister, who can cultivate without a golden core? Where did you hear that from?" "Ever since Fong Yu became the first on the mortal ranking list, many higher-ups in the grotto heaven have been talking about him. I only heard it randomly. At first, I had my suspicions, but later, Huan Yun confirmed it. He really doesn't have a golden core, and after entering the sect for dozens of years, he went from a nobody to a genius that even the higher-ups in the grotto heaven paid attention to. He also did a lot of things in the lower immortal heaven, such as Huang Lingyun, Hua Tianyuan, Fu Tianshin, and other experts from our sect. They even bought the Barbarian Rune Divine Force Cauldron from him. In the end, senior brother Fu Tianshin obtained the Barbarian Rune Divine Force Cauldron, and senior brother Fu Tianxian entered the grotto heaven because of the cauldron. There's such a thing? Of course. I've also heard of the barbarian rune Divine Force Cauldron. I didn't expect him to obtain such a treasure and give it to others for free. That's why he has a close relationship with senior brother Fu. Don't underestimate him. Just based on this fact alone, you can't suppress him. Lin Yining was very concerned about Lu Wei. Chapter 292. Su Fong, who was floating in the air, heard Lu Wei and Lin Yining whispering. He couldn't help being startled. It's impossible to keep secrets in the immortal sealing sect. What I did in the immortal heaven has already spread in the immortal heaven. After resting for a few days, they continued on their journey. They had to step on their flying swords to fly in the water. Without a flying sword, they couldn't fly for a long time. Even immortal realm disciples couldn't do it. Along the way, they passed by a few small islands and met a few cultivators. The four of them didn't hide their identities, so when cultivators saw the immortal sealing sect's disciples, they could only stay away. We've been traveling for a long time. It should take another half a month to reach the Outer Realm Islands. There's a nameless island ahead. Let's go there and rest. The four of them weren't fast on the water. Lu Wei was holding a map. It seemed he had been to the Outer Realm Islands from here before. He was very familiar with the water. Since Lu Wei was the strongest, Su Fong didn't have any objections. A few days later, they arrived at a group of a dozen islands. Some of the islands were very vast, and the mountains couldn't be seen due to the clouds. He secretly used his great perfection realm power to sense, but he didn't find anything. The main thing was that the water wasn't land. There were gales and waves everywhere. Russell, the four of them entered a forest in the depths of one of the islands. They each took a defensive position and began to rest. In the belly of the mountain behind the forest, a dark gaze was locked onto all the movements in the forest. It's the immortal sealing sect's disciples. Forget it. They're from the immortal sealing sect. We can't afford to offend them. If it's a few loose cultivators, we can kill them halfway. None of them are immortal realm experts. There were two powerful immortal realm experts who had already sensed the four of them. However, the two of them knew they were from the immortal sealing sect. After secretly watching for a while, they could only leave. Fortunately, they're afraid of the immortal sealing sect. If they sneak attacked, no one would be able to survive. In the quiet forest, there was a damp air. The four of them didn't seem to notice anything, but Su Fong had been using his great perfection realm power. He had sensed the nearby movements and discovered the two hidden experts. If the two immortal realm experts really attacked, Chen Huanyun, Lu Wei, and Lin Yining wouldn't be able to resist. I have to find a chance to break through to the immortal realm stage. Let's go to the Outer Realm Islands. Su Fong didn't care. After resting for 2 days, the four of them set out again. Why is there the smell of blood? They went deeper into the water. There were no islands around. Lu Wei, who was flying at the front, signaled for everyone to stop. His expression became more and more serious. Lin Yining looked at Su Fong and Qian Huanyun and said, "I also smelled it. Could it be that someone was attacked by a water monster? It seems calm, but we'd better seize the opportunity and find a place to settle down." Senior sister is right. Senior brother Lu, let's hurry. Qian Huanyun agreed. Whoosh! The four of them rode on their flying swords and doubled their speed. Can you keep up? Qian Huanyun transmitted his voice to Su Fong. Since Su Fong was controlling a high-grade flying sword, his cultivation level was lower than theirs. I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. Su Fong drives the flying sword normally with his own cultivation base. His speed has reached the level of immortality. In fact, with his current speed, he has already surpassed Lu Wei. There's a reddish-black island. That's great. After a few hours, the sky was about to turn dark. Their luck was too good. A black dot appeared in the water in front of them. When they got closer, it turned out to be a dark red island. Just in time, they quickly arrived at the island. When they landed, Su Fong suddenly felt that something was off. An indescribable aura was rampaging within his body. We have to leave this place. Su Fong didn't know why, but it didn't seem like a good omen. He looked at the three of them and said, "If you're feeling nervous, let's leave this place." Lu Wei shook his head. "It's going to be dark soon." Normally, it wouldn't matter. But in this vast body of water, no one can predict what will happen. Although this island is small, it's enough for us to conserve our energy. There's no special aura. Let's just rest here. Qian Huanyun and Lin Yining also wanted to rest here. Bang! As soon as the two girls finished speaking, before Su Fong could explain, there was a sudden tremor below them. The four of them simultaneously felt as if the island under their feet had disappeared, and an invisible gravitational force pulled them into the water along with the momentum of the previous tremor. Now, the island had actually disappeared. However, not far from them, there was a terrifying black shadow moving under the water. Splash! Splash! Because the island had mysteriously disappeared, it left behind a shocking whirlpool that sucked in the four of them. After 3 breaths of time, streams of water rushed out of the whirlpool and summoned their flying swords. Qian Huanyun was completely soaked, and her clothes stuck tightly to her body. She panicked. The island suddenly disappeared, and there's a strong stench of blood. As expected, there's something wrong here. Lin Yining trembled in fear. "Let's leave. There's something strange here." Lu Wei was also afraid. He really should have listened to Su Fong's advice. If he had decisively left, this wouldn't have happened. Boom! The moving shadow under the water forcefully broke through the water. It was actually the island that had just disappeared. A giant monster? How is that an island? The island was actually a giant monster with a scarlet-black armor on its back. The giant demon shook the water, causing huge waves to roll up. The moment it stood up, many tentacles wrapped around a demon corpse in front of its chest. The giant demon seemed to be a snail-like existence. The black shell on its back was abnormally sturdy, with many red demon patterns bursting out. It had a large number of sharp tentacles. The demon corpse that was wrapped around was being cut into pieces by the tentacles and swallowed by the demon head that was shining with the red lantern light. Run! Lu Wei was truly worthy of being in the 6th stage of the Undying Realm. He was the first to react. He shouted at the other 3, and the 4 of them immediately flew away on their flying swords. PFFF! PFFF! The giant monster suddenly roared. As soon as the 4 of them flew away, a wall of water immediately formed in front of them. It instantly reached 300 meters and blocked the 4 of them. Furthermore, a shocking wall of water appeared around them, seemingly wanting to trap the 4 of them here. Chief Explosion Talisman. Lu Wei flicked his finger. Lu Wei's cultivation was high, and he was knowledgeable. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that. Seeing that the wall of water was about to form a huge water prison, he threw out a few talismans. These talismans rustled above and exploded fiercely. They actually had the aura of an Undying Realm expert. Indeed, they had some influence on the surrounding water. However, although the Chi Explosion Talisman was powerful in front of an Undying Realm expert, it wasn't affected much by the giant monster's control of the water. Jade Sky Cold Mystic Technique. Ice Pillar. At this moment, Lin Yining and Qian Huanyun also walked out of their fear. The 2 of them had cultivated one of the 7 great mystical abilities, the Jade Sky Cold Mystic Technique. A piece of ice pillar condensed, and it was indeed effective. The ice pillar condensed under the Chi Explosion Talisman's aura that was about to disappear. Every wave that touched the ice pillar started to freeze, as expected of one of the 7 great mystical abilities. Moreover, it was a water-type mystical ability which happened to be very useful in this water. This was probably why Lin Yining and Qian Huanyun formed a team. Lin Yining shouted, "The power of ice can last for a few breaths. Let's go." Lu Wei and Su Fong immediately flew towards the icicles while Qian Huanyun and Lin Yining met up in midair. The 2 women continued to circulate the power of ice, and the 4 of them flew out of the water with great difficulty, reaching a height of 1,000 feet. Pop unexpectedly, a blood shadow suddenly smashed towards them. It was just too fast. When these people saw this, They were all scared stiff because the blood shadow was actually a large amount of broken flesh and bones. Moreover, its strength was ferocious. Puff the four of them vomited blood from the impact of the demon blood, bones, and minced meat. Lu Wei's injuries weren't light either, and he didn't have the same heroic spirit as before. He took out a flying sword and said, "Dharma treasure. We can only use the Dharma treasure to carve out a bloody path, and then use the teleportation talisman to escape from this region of water. Wind and fire twin spirit swords, you guys go first. I'll cover you." At this moment, they didn't expect Su Fong to take out a shocking Dharma treasure, the Xianguang. It shook off a lot of the minced meat and arrived in front of the surging water. As expected of a high-grade Dharma treasure, Lu Wei looked at the mid-grade flying sword in his hand. It was 100 times worse than the wind and fire twin spirit swords. Qian Huanyun was worried. "Can you resist it? The wind and fire twin spirit swords can increase my speed and attack power, especially the spiritual fire. Most water demons are afraid of fire. You guys go first. Later, I'll circulate the power of the Dharma treasure with all my strength and quickly catch up to you." After saying that, Su Fong raised the wind and fire twin spirit swords and faced the water waves created by the giant demon. Daluo, Heavenly Sword Qi. When Su Fong was a few dozen feet away, he wiped the sword with his left hand. Then, the wind and fire twin spirit swords burned and slashed out, releasing a large amount of burning Daluo, Heavenly Sword Qi. Lu Wei protected Qian Huanyun and Lin Yining. "He's so strong. He's ranked first on the mortal ranking. He's only in the 5th stage of the immortal realm. Why does he have the strength of the 5th stage of the undying realm?" With the wind and fire twin spirit swords, Junior Apprentice Brother Fong should be able to deal with it for a while. "Let's leave this place first." Qian Huanyun ignored his injuries and circulated his sword Qi. He shouted and flew back with Lu Wei and Lin Yining. "Let's go." Qi Qi. Under the wind and fire twin spirit swords, the burning Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi was no weaker than an imperishable realm expert. It could block a part of the water attacks because the giant demon still hadn't attacked. After sensing that Lu Wei, Qian Huanyun, and Lin Yining were far away, he regained his composure and activated the flesh fetus divine armor with a smile. Pa pa pa. At this moment, the surrounding water waves exploded once more. Although the burning Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi was extinguished, the giant demon was quickly approaching. At this moment, Greenfeather King slowly said, "Kid, this is a very powerful demon in the water domain. It's also very rare. It's called the Blood Conch, and its advantage is its defense. It's also a type of demon with very low intelligence. If that's the case, it won't be of much use to me if I capture it." Su Fong actually wanted to suppress this giant demon and make it a commander. It's useless to suppress it. It should have been affected by the worldly phenomena and lost its consciousness. It's going berserk in the water domain and fighting with other demons. If you kill it with a primordial chaos saint, you'll be able to obtain an extremely powerful Yang Qi bead that can help you advance a realm. This Blood Conch strength is about the same as the Leech King's. Unfortunately, it can't compare to the Leech King in any other aspect except its defense. Suppress the Blood Conch. This was what Greenfeather King had said. He was also a member of the demon race, but he actually wanted Su Fong to kill his own kind. Demon. What was a demon? Su Fong had thought that Greenfeather King was different from Dao Wuliang and other demons, but when he heard his cold words, even he shuddered. Demons were just so capricious. No one could see through them. Fine. This Blood Conch has already gone crazy and has no self-awareness. It kills everyone it sees. If I let it live, who knows how many lives it will take in the water domain. Killing intent immediately spread in his heart. Chapter 293. He originally wanted to add a small commander, but he encountered a giant demon with low intelligence, and there was no other way. It was not very useful. Instead, he had to spend energy and resources to condense the Blood Conch into a human form and become a high-level demon. Kill. Su Fong stepped on the wind and fire dual spirit swords and used the fire cloud wings. In his strongest state, he increased his speed and flew into the sky. Roar. Unexpectedly, the blood conch also suddenly roared angrily at this time. It shook the sky and affected Su Fong. His momentum and speed slowed down. Suddenly, he heard a crash and hurriedly looked forward. The blood conch was actually frantically running for its life. I haven't even made a move, and it already knows to be afraid. After stabilizing his momentum, the surrounding waves also collapsed. Su Fong looked forward in confusion. Seeing the blood conch fleeing in panic, he did not care about anything else and chased after it on the wind and fire dual spirit swords. I let you escape last time. You can still escape this time. Just as he chased after it, he heard a strong shout in front of the blood conch. It shattered the gusts of wind and directly pierced through. No wonder the blood conch wanted to escape. I thought it was afraid of me. Who knew that it was afraid of another powerhouse? Su Fong slowed down and curiously used the perfect stage ability. He was immediately shocked because an extremely fast wind-breaking sound bypassed the blood conch in a breath's time and appeared behind the monster. Looking closely behind the blood conch, there was originally turbulent waves, but suddenly a figure appeared. The figure shot out a flaming chain in the sky. As soon as the chain appeared, there was a crackling explosion. Whoosh! The flaming chain wrapped around the blood conch and forced the monster to freeze in the water. The monster was a monster, and it was a water monster. With a strong shake, it actually shook the chain away. However, under the control of the figure, the chain hit the blood conch again and again like a whip. That person is only in the immortal realm. Su Fong, who was 100 meters away, prepared to leave in order to avoid any trouble. However, the blood conch continued to struggle, making it difficult for the figure to gain the upper hand. As such, the figure's aura once again exploded out. Seeing this, Su Fong was incredibly shocked. The other party was also in the immortal realm. His strength seemed to be at the 7th level, which meant that he was at the 7th level of the longevity realm. He was only 2 levels higher than him, but with just these 2 levels, he was able to fight against a giant monster that had reached the young infant realm. Isn't this too heaven-defying? What kind of peerless genius was that? Su Fong, who was about to leave, stayed behind out of curiosity. He saw the blood conch display its monstrous strength and truly display the strength of a young soul. Chi opened its mouth to spit out a jet of inky venom demonic poison. The venom was shockingly poisonous. As it sprayed out of the air, any wave of water that it touched was instantly corroded into a burning poisonous flame, which then evaporated in an instant. Not only was there venom, but the blood conch also spat out a bloody mist. Although it was called a bloody mist, its attack was as terrifying as a magic treasure. It shook the natural space until it was about to shatter. The figure was shaken out by the continuous attacks. It was a man in black. He happened to see Su Fong behind him, but his face was full of indifference, which did not match his 20 years of age at all. So young, Su Fong was shocked once again. Regardless of cultivation or age, the other party was around the same height as him. This really made him more and more curious. In terms of strength, this young cultivator was even stronger than him. I'll give you a hand. Su Fong's curiosity actually caused him to ride his flying sword closer. The black-clothed youth suddenly shouted coldly, "Don't get close to this monster. Its demonic poison is different from others. Once you're infected, your entire body will rot. There is no cure for it. I'm not afraid of demonic poison." Su Fong slowed down. The blood conch's venom had enveloped everything within a mile of him. The other party was not joking. It seemed that the venom was the blood conch's innate ability. Demons subduing chains. The black-clothed youth slashed his palms, and a large amount of burning flame chains surged out from his surroundings. They tore apart the demonic poison and attacked the blood conch. At this moment, mysterious and ancient imprints appeared on the black-clothed youth's neck and face. Once the imprints appeared, his aura became even more unfathomable. Bang, bang, the blood conk's body was already covered in wounds. It seemed that it had been injured by the flame chains. He didn't expect the ordinary-looking chains to be so powerful. Dragon snake coil. Su Fong also moved to help. He slashed his wind and fire dual spirit sword at the area of demonic poison. A powerful storm suddenly struck the demonic poison. Whoosh! The blood conch was currently using its tentacles to knock away the flame chains. When it saw Su Fong coming over, it angrily spat out a stream of venom. Su Fong suddenly used his formless flame cloud saber. Hoo, without waiting for the venom to approach. A large amount of burning saber light fell, causing explosions and flames to erupt within the area of venom. Although it couldn't injure the blood conch, it was able to burn away the surrounding demonic poison layer by layer. Demon subduing seal. The black-clothed youth took advantage of the large area of flame saber light to trap the blood conch. He used tens of thousands of flame chains to trap the blood conch in the center. The blood conch didn't give up. Its tentacles exploded with astonishing strength, breaking the chains again and again. Its strength was too shocking. Even though the black-clothed youth's strength had reached a terrifying level, he was still unable to contend with this kind of giant water monster. Nether young nascent soul. The blood conch seemed to be becoming more and more terrifying, and it was about to escape. The black-clothed youth suddenly emitted a gloomy, cold, and terrifying aura. Su Fong was attracted by this aura. He felt that the youth was an evil expert. When he looked again, he was shocked. At some point, a coffin had appeared behind the black-clothed youth's back. Coffin. Yes, Su Fong believed what he saw. A 3-meter-tall black coffin appeared behind the black-clothed youth, but it wasn't real. It was an intense, primordial spirit aura. Young nascent soul. The shock was indescribable. That coffin was actually a young nascent soul. Su Fong had never seen this kind of young nascent soul before. He immediately signaled Green Feather Monarch to also look at this inexplicable scene. It's indeed a young nascent soul, but it wasn't cultivated by him. It was obtained by accident through some means. There's only one possibility for a longevity realm cultivator to have a young nascent soul. An expert forcibly planted another young nascent soul in his divine aperture. There are other possibilities, but I can't say for sure. Green Feather Monarch was also shocked. He had lived for 10,000 years, but he had never seen such a scene. This kid is too strange. He's a longevity realm cultivator like you, and his fate wheel is very young and vigorous. He must have cultivated for decades, not 100 years. Is that so? He had cultivated for less than 100 years, yet he had such strength. Wait, Green Feather Monarch's attention was drawn to the black-clothed youth's flame chains. Sealing chains can restrain demonic chi. He's a demon catcher. A demon catcher? Su Fong had never heard of such a thing before. Demon catchers rarely appear in the Zhuotian realm. Otherwise, if there were a large number of them, the Zhuotian realm wouldn't have any space for the demon race to live. This king went to other small worlds and encountered several demon catchers. Each of them had magic treasures specialized in suppressing demons or sealing divine abilities. Demon catchers are very rare. These kinds of cultivators specialize in suppressing demons, using them to cultivate or killing them for trade. Some specialize in refining demons into spirit treasures or magic tools. The demon race hates these kinds of people the most. Green Feather Monarch sighed with surprise. But this king once heard a senior mention that there were many demon catchers in the past, and they had established their own forces. But later, they kept falling into desolation. It seems the heavenly Daos still favor my demon race. So he's a demon catcher. No wonder he's so powerful in front of the blood conch. Su Fong was also confused, but the thing he was most curious about was that coffin-like young nascent soul. How could a human have such a young nascent soul? When he looked again, the coffin had already vanished. Presumably, the black-clothed youth had no choice but to use his mysterious young nascent soul. Chi! In front of the black-clothed young man's chest, a streak of golden, sacred light spurted out at lightning speed. The light swept toward the blood conch, but the blood conch used some unknown power to spit out poison and use its black armor to block it. When the light touched the blood, there was no collision or vibration. When the light touched the blood conch's black armor, the light was like a large net. It wrapped around the blood conch at a speed that the blood conch couldn't react to. Then, it disappeared into the black-clothed youth's chest. It had vanished. Just like that, an entire island's blood conch was suppressed by the black-clothed youth. This was the power of a demon catcher. That human has an incomparably terrifying magical treasure. It should be a Tao item, because that light contained the aura of a magical treasure. Greenfeather King saw through the clues. Even if it was a magical treasure, it was still his ability. Cough. The black-clothed youth seemed exhausted. He slowly walked out of the sea of poison and icily glanced at Su Fong. Then he said something that shocked Su Fong. You have several strands of demon chi in your body. It seems you don't fear the blood conch. You also have a way to suppress it. I heard that the Grand Immortal Sealing Sect doesn't have a way to suppress demons unless it's the Myriad God Seal. But you're at the longevity realm. There's no way you can use such a divine ability. You can actually sense that. I'm a monster hunter, and I've dealt with monsters for a long time. I'm able to see through anyone who's been in contact with monsters for a long time. Furthermore, I can sense that there's an extraordinary monster aura in a certain space within your body. It contains a trace of holy divine chi. Senior, you can also sense it. Su Fong was incomparably shocked. He immediately communicated with Greenfeather King. Greenfeather King said, "This is the power of a demon catcher. But only a true demon catcher would be able to sense it in such detail. It can only mean that this person truly isn't simple." Even the Immortal Sealing Sect couldn't sense this king's aura, but he did. This person was definitely not an ordinary person. Compared to those so-called geniuses, he was tens of thousands of times more powerful. Su Fong wanted to befriend him. Cupping his fists, he said, "Brother, you have good eyesight. I am Su Fong, and I am currently cultivating in the Immortal Sealing Sect. May I ask which major power you are from?" The black-clothed man slowly walked over, his clean face cold. "Hidden Truth Island, Li Haojia. I can't compare to you, a wandering cultivator. Hidden Truth Island, I remember. It's near the Devil King continent. There's still many islands there." Su Fong withdrew his aura. Li Haojia's aura had also returned to normal, but he still seemed weak and tired. "I'm afraid that no one will recognize Tsangzhan Island now. On the day I was born, the second abnormal sun appeared in the sky. Not long after that, a large number of crazy demons attacked the island, killing all the mortals on the island. My family will take their leave first. If fate wills it, we will meet again." Li Haojia flew alone to the outer region islands. This was an extremely cold person. The day he was born was the day the second sun appeared in the sky. I remember that I was touching the heavenly gate at that time. I had just succeeded in reaching the heavenly gate when I encountered Xiolingji. Day turned to night, and from then on, 2 suns appeared in the sky. In that case, this Li Haojia is a dozen years younger than me. He's also a wandering cultivator, but his cultivation has reached the 7th level of the longevity realm. Li Haojia's words seemed to be a helpless sigh, but it caused Su Fong to be greatly moved. Chapter 294. He clearly remembered the heaven and earth anomaly that had appeared when he had fought the Rot-Tan snake with his dream and touched the heavenly gate. This was a scene that he would remember for the rest of his life. Li Haojia had just been born when Su Fong had successfully entered Tianmen province. He was more than 10 years younger than Su Fong, but he was still able to suppress the blood conch as a loose cultivator. How extraordinary was he? He stood in the sky for a long time. He did not expect to meet such a person. Whoosh! He rode his flying sword and left the water region. Half an hour later, he met up with Lu Wei, Lin Yining, and Qian Huanyun in the water region dozens of miles away. They were happy that Su Fong had returned alive, but they also felt that it was unreal. Even Lu Wei and Su Fong's tone had changed. They were no longer as arrogant. The four of them hurriedly flew toward the extraterritorial islands. They did not stop at any of the islands along the way. Finally, they arrived at the extraterritorial islands without any mishaps. Su Fong initially thought that the extraterritorial islands were a large number of islands everywhere. In fact, all the islands had been merged by the heaven and earth anomaly to form a continent. He learned from Lu Wei that the large water region where the extraterritorial islands were located had the same moving power as the extraterritorial secret realms. It was constantly moving. After tens of thousands of years, countless islands had merged together to form a huge island continent. The water region had changed everything. However, there were still some places on the island continent that had not completely transformed into a continent. They formed some very dangerous water regions with many water monsters. We can't be careless here. There are water monsters in the water region, and evil spirits appear in the depths of the extraterritorial islands all year round. After the heaven and earth anomaly last time, many big goblin also came here. In the dark night, the four of them sat around the fire, drinking wine and eating spirit fruits. This was the first time they had been so satisfied in the past few months. Lu Wei was introducing the extraterritorial islands to everyone. Actually, there are a few underground markets in the depths of the extraterritorial islands. I came here several times not to search for treasures, but to buy some. You can meet all kinds of people here. If you have the resources, you can even buy king-grade artifacts. Since we are here, we can take a look around the underground markets. There's also an underground market here. Su Fong was very curious. A market had actually been established in such a dangerous place. They're all established by clans, rogue cultivators, and some small factions. I've also heard that some experts from large factions have started operating here. Anyway, it's very interesting. Since we're here, let's take a look first. It's only a few days from here to the flying immortal island. I have no objections. Then let's go take a look. This is the first time I've come to the outer region after entering the high immortal heaven. I want to see what it's like. Lin Yining and Qian Huanyan were both very curious. Su Fong naturally didn't have any objections. Since there were several underground markets here, they might be able to find some treasures. Who knows, there might be some unexpected gains. From another point of view, he actually didn't have to take risks to search for treasures like most cultivators, and he already possessed sufficient ability to purchase any treasure. Even king-grade magic artifacts weren't difficult for him. Only true natural spirit treasures like the Mortal Emperor's Bright Wheel Fragment, the Immortal Gate, and the Divine Image Jade Annulus were worthy of him taking risks. The next morning, the four of them flew into the depths of the outer region. Along the way, they encountered more and more cultivators and also disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect. When it was almost dusk, the four of them arrived at a very large mountain. It should have been a very large island in the past. Behind the mountain was an astonishingly large valley. When they arrived here, they saw a completely different scene. There was no coldness in the outer region. There were jewels and treasures everywhere, or there were many towers. There were also some unique palaces. It was completely a small town. There was no barrier to protect this place, but there were some immortal realm experts secretly observing the surroundings. They were worried that some crazy big goblin like the Blood Conch would break in here. Lu Wei led the three of them into the valley. They immediately saw all kinds of cultivators trading magic treasures. The surrounding pavilions and palaces were places for trading, and the prices were higher than the peddlers outside. Since we're here, let's stroll around here for a few days. Lu Wei and Lin Yining left as a pair, leaving Su Fong and Qian Huanyan to look around. The two of them chose a stone building. From the outside, it looked like a stone building, but the inside was made of countless gems and inlaid with quite a few formation runes. It seemed the manager of this stone building was truly an expert. Inside, there were bustling cultivators looking for treasures. There were all kinds of spirit herbs to all kinds of magic treasures. As the saying went, a sparrow might be small, but it still had all its vital organs. There were several immortal realm experts in charge of maintaining order. There were 2 floors inside. The first floor was filled with ordinary treasures. Hearing the exclamations from the second floor, Su Fong and Qian Huanyun curiously went up. This is a treasure that contains immortal qi. Of course, everyone, this is a runic spirit mushroom. It's a spirit treasure found near the immortal gate. It's probably been around for close to 10,000 years. After absorbing the aura of the immortal gate, it finally contains a trace of immortal qi from a smaller world. It's definitely expensive. Everyone knows that if you want to obtain a treasure in the outer region, you have to pay a certain price. It wasn't easy for us to obtain this runic spirit mushroom, so the price is reasonable. 30 million undying pure essence pills. 30 million undying pure essence pills. There were dozens of people gathered in the center of the second floor. Suddenly, there was an uproar. What a strange runic spirit mushroom. Why does it look like a human head? Qian Huanyun and Su Fong came to the side to take a look. They were also attracted by the dazzling light. Although the light was sealed by a barrier, it still seeped out. There was a foot-tall runic spirit mushroom floating inside. It was black and had some white spots. Unlike ordinary runic spirit mushrooms, this runic spirit mushroom had some finger-long strands growing out of its crown. It was no different from a human head. It was very special. Qian Huanyun had never seen this kind of spirit treasure before. He looked at Su Fong, but he didn't get an answer. There were countless spirit treasures in the world. Even peerless experts couldn't recognize all of them. Aside from having a special high-grade spirit qi and a natural fusion power, it can't compare to the 10,000-year fire serpent fruit, fig fruit, or passion fruit. Su Fong didn't seem to have any expression, but he was thinking about the value of this runic spirit mushroom. This runic spirit mushroom had yet to reach 10,000 years old. If it reached 10,000 years old, it would be a true treasure. It would be worth far more than 30 million undying pure essence pills. This runic spirit mushroom was already considered a sky-high price for most people. Even most undying realm cultivators couldn't afford it. Can the price be lower? A few people suddenly came. They were obviously here for the runic spirit mushroom. True Spell Sacred Sect. When the surrounding cultivators saw these people, they all retreated. These men were disciples of the True Spell Sacred Sect, a big force in the Zhuotian domain. All of them were in the Undying Realm. Only one of them was in the Undying Realm. Greetings. These people were originally here for the runic spirit mushroom. When they saw Su Fong and Qian Huanyun, one of the men politely cupped his fists. They were disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect. The Celestial Sealing Sect and the True Spell Sacred Sect were separated by a vast meteorite. The two sects were also allies. Their disciples often interacted with each other. The two of them returned the greeting and quietly watched from the side. The price is negotiable. Please come to the room. The disciples of the True Spell Sacred Sect were rich. Everyone knew that the disciples of big forces were rich. It was as if they had seen the god of wealth. They were welcomed into the guest room behind the counter. Qian Huanyun secretly transmitted a message. I think that spiritual treasures are what every cultivator needs. Dharma treasures can enjoy the sect's resources and elixirs, but spiritual treasures can only be brewed in the world. You and I should go to the next place to take a look. When the experts of the True Spell Sacred Sect come out later, we'll have to see their arrogant faces. After leaving, they chose a silver palace. It was 30 meters tall and majestic. When they entered, besides a large number of cultivators trading, there were all kinds of dazzling treasures. Although there were treasures, most of them were common. The two of them walked around and didn't find any treasure that attracted them. The Supreme God Sect is too much. Su Fong, who was going downstairs to leave, suddenly heard a weak but vigorous roar with his great perfection ability. Supreme God Sect. This made Su Fong's ears perk up. He carefully listened in the direction of the sound. It wasn't easy for me to establish a foothold here. I worked hard for hundreds of years to establish this chamber of commerce. The Supreme God Sect actually wants us to join them. Lord, why don't we leave this place? We can't afford to offend the Supreme God Sect. They have occupied the ruins of the Spirit Sect for tens of thousands of years. Now, they want to expand their influence in the extraterritorial lands. If we say no, we will be annihilated. There's no hurry. I have to meet the experts from all over. The Supreme God sect can come and go as they please. They will not agree. Do they think we are pushovers? When they arrived at the main hall, the voice disappeared. The Supreme God sect has expanded their influence here. He came back to his senses and went to the forest with Qian Huanyan. My treasures are all from the Xinjia Gate. They're all treasures that came out from there. Since when can treasures come out from the Xinjia Gate? Some vendors were selling their treasures to the cultivators who passed by. The cultivators who came here all knew that the so-called treasures were actually fake. They were using some rare and strange items to pass off as good ones. My treasures really came out from the Xinjia Gate. They met many more vendors. Among them, a middle-aged man was holding a half-foot-long black stone piece and was hawking it to the cultivators who passed by. Who cared about him? There was no bargain in this world. Buzz. However, Su Fong, who happened to pass by, suddenly heard a buzzing sound in his right arm. Purple Aura Dharma Spirit Su Fong was very curious. He activated his Purple Aura Dharma Spirit and sensed that the aura was coming from the side. It turned out that it was the black stone piece in the vendor's hand. It looked ordinary, but it emitted a mysterious aura that the Purple Aura Dharma Spirit could sense. The Purple Aura Dharma Spirit can sense a real treasure. Could it be that stone piece? Su Fong turned around and shouted at the vendor. Why do you believe in such a thing? It must be an ordinary item. Qian Huanyan was very curious. However, when he saw that Su Fong was interested in the stone piece, he reminded him out of goodwill. I'm just curious about the outer realms. Don't they say that danger zones in the outer realms often have many mysteries? Shrugging, Su Fong took the stone piece from the vendor. When he touched it, he felt that it was very rough. It hadn't even been polished. Just based on that, he could tell that it wasn't a treasure. If it was a treasure, why hadn't it been polished? Any magic treasures, gems, or spirit stones were all carefully carved and polished. This really is a treasure that came out from the Xinjia Gate. 3 million pure, undying essence pills is too cheap. Seeing Su Fong's curiosity, the vendor raised the price. He really wanted to sell this stone piece. Qian Huanyan swept his gaze over him. Do you think we don't know what a treasure is? A stone piece is a treasure? I think you've never seen a real treasure. The vendor was stunned. This woman wasn't someone he could offend. The two of you are disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect, the elites of a large power. You must have seen all kinds of treasures. However, this really is a treasure. I'm just a rogue cultivator, so I'm unable to explain its mysteries. Chapter 295. Su Fong smiled. It's too expensive. I'm only willing to pay 500,000 for 3 million pure, undying origin pills. 500,000? How can this piece of stone be worth that much? 10,000 at most. Qian Huanyan acted like a woman, treating the stone piece as if it was worthless. It's not easy for him either. If you're thinking for him, then everyone here will be happy. Fine. 500,000 it is. The combination of the two was really effective. The vendor was afraid that Qian Huanyan would really stop Su Fong from buying, so he clenched his teeth and nodded. One hand handed over the money, and the other hand handed over the goods. The vendor received the pure Yuan Dan and left happily. Is it really a treasure? Qian Huanyan and Su Fong came to a secluded area and asked curiously. Su Fong shook his head and gave the stone piece to Qian Huanyan. I'm not sure. I just feel that this stone piece is a bit different, but I can't tell exactly what it is. Then you're really generous. That's enough to buy a mid-grade enchanted artifact. Which undying realm cultivator wouldn't feel heartache over 500,000 pure, undying origin pills? You, on the other hand, gave it to someone else so casually. Take this stone. Qian Huanyan gave the black stone piece to Su Fong and continued walking to a nearby merchant house. Su Fong also couldn't tell exactly what treasure it was. He would have to wait until he had some free time to study it. They arrived at another merchant house, and Qian Huanyan quickly took a fancy to a golden core. There were over a dozen treasure boxes on the counter, and each box contained a golden core. The golden cores were sealed by seals so that their aura wouldn't dissipate. Su Fong came over and asked, "What do you want a golden core for?" Qian Huanyan frowned. "To cultivate the art of puppetry. I use a golden core to cultivate the art of puppetry. That way, I won't have to use up any of my own energy. What do you think?" Many Undying Realm experts cultivate puppetry this way. Furthermore, the golden core in the center contains 5 divine runes. 5 divine runes? There were indeed 5 very obvious and sturdy divine runes around the golden core. The 5 divine runes intertwined to form a defensive layer around the golden core. Unfortunately, I'm not a peerless expert. I've heard that those peerless experts can fuse with their golden cores and comprehend each divine rune contained within. I can't do that now, but I can do it in the future. Are the two of you interested in these golden cores? At this moment, an old man came to the counter and introduced, "The origins of these golden cores are not ordinary. Each golden core contains at least 3 kinds of divine marks. Many of them are experts from great powers, and they were experts who died outside the Xinjia Gate. Their corpses were discovered, and their golden cores were taken out." Qian Huanyan asked about the price. A golden core of the indestructible 3rd stage actually cost 600,000 indestructible pure essence pills. In the end, Qian Huanyan did not ask for the golden core. What are these corpses for? The two of them once more went up to another floor. There were several corpses within a seal. The old man introduced, "They're all cultivators who died in the Xinjia Gate. Don't look down on these cultivators. They're all imperishable realm cultivators, and many experts use them to refine puppets." Su Fong looked at Qian Huanyan and said, "Senior sister, why don't you buy a corpse and bring it back? It will be easier for you to refine puppets. Golden cores are filled with powerful energy and are difficult to refine, but corpses can be refined directly." Qian Huanyan asked, and found that the price was not expensive. He also felt that Su Fong's idea was very suitable for her current state, so he spent the money to buy a corpse. Demon Core Flower. After buying the corpse, the two of them went to the central area, where they found many rare treasures. Su Fong was attracted to a flower that stood out from the rest. It was a peerless treasure that he had once encountered and possessed, a demon core flower. This demon core flower was also a type of immortal flower. However, it was even rarer than the immortal flower. It would only form on a big goblin's corpse. The problem was that it was very difficult to form a demon core flower after most big goblin corpses died. The demon core flower was even helpful to the Green Feather King. The Leech King had only been able to condense his human form after fusing with one. "What is this?" Qian Huanyan couldn't tell what the demon core flower was. The old man immediately came over to introduce it to Qian Huanyan. Qian Huanyan didn't expect Su Fong to know about such a rare treasure. "If you want it, I can give you 10 million pure, undying chi pills. If you sell it to a large merchant association, the price will be several times higher. A small merchant association like ours doesn't have much profit margin. Furthermore, demon core flowers are very rare. In the past 100 years, only 2 have appeared. This is one of them, and it was obtained by a young cultivator. Youngsters nowadays are really amazing. Those who can find demon core flowers are all in very dangerous places, and they don't fear demonic chi. Is it a very young, black-robed, cold person?" Su Fong suddenly thought of someone. The old man was startled. Yes, it's that young man. I just happen to be doing business with him. Do you know him? It seems it really is Li Haojia. He could suppress demonic chi and obtain demon core flowers in dangerous places. Only a cultivator who didn't fear demonic chi or demons could obtain such a treasure. Adding on the fact that the old man had mentioned Li Haojia, Su Fong thought of Li Haojia. He hadn't expected it to really be him. Fine. This time, Su Fong had generously taken out 8 million medicinal pills. He hadn't even blinked. Even an undying chi expert would feel heartache. After all, this was a huge sum. If he added a bit more, he could buy a low-grade, high-grade enchanted item. Demon core flowers were high-grade enchanted items. Naturally, High-grade enchanted items were very important to cultivators. That senior just introduced the demon core flower. He said that ordinary righteous Tao cultivators are unable to refine it. Since cultivators are unable to fuse with the essence of the demonic Tao, it's not very useful to cultivators. Even if it's a treasure, it's not worth the price. Qian Huanyan was very puzzled. He couldn't understand why Su Fong would want to buy a treasure that cultivators were unable to fuse with. Rather than buying a useful magic treasure, spiritual item, and so on, why not just buy it? Su Fong said in a low voice, "Since it's a treasure, then let's keep it. I also want to go to the ruins of the spirit sect in the future and make a lot of money through the Supreme God sect. This is because the demon core flower is very valuable to the experts of the demon clan. It can be sold for more than 20 million. Is that so? It's that easy? Otherwise, why would I spend such a high price?" Su Fong nodded happily. The two of them continued to look at the other items. Other than magic treasures, there were also spiritual items. Suddenly, an undying flower that had reached the undying realm appeared in front of Su Fong. It also attracted Qian Huanyan's attention. This undying flower was sparkling and translucent. It was very attractive, especially to undying cultivators. This time, it was a treasure in the eyes of righteous Tao cultivators. This is an undying flower that has reached the undying fourth stage. The old man came again. This flower's price is very high. It costs 15 million undying pure essence pills. It's different from the demon core flowers from before. Any cultivator can fuse with this undying flower, especially undying cultivators. It can condense undying energy and give any undying 10th-stage cultivator a great chance of advancing to the undying realm. 15 million undying pure essence pills. Qian Huanyan could only shake his head. He was only at the second stage of the undying realm. Even if he took out the same amount of undying pure essence pills, it would still be a huge sum. "Since you like it, you might as well buy it," said Su Fong. But the price is too high. I can't take it out. How can undying cultivators like us have so many undying pure essence pills? If you want it, I can lend it to you for now. Once you become a disciple of the immortal seeking heaven, you can return it to me." Su Fong decisively took out an empty bag. Qian Huanyan was extremely embarrassed. How could that be? I don't know how long it'll take to advance to the immortal seeking heaven. With my current speed, it'll take at least 100 years. Even 100 years would be a miracle. She clearly meant that she would owe him a favor for 100 years, or even longer. Take it. Perhaps senior apprentice sister will be able to find another treasure in the Xinjia Gate. At that time, we can use treasures to exchange for it. Furthermore, I have enough pure essence pills. I don't lack this bit of resources. Let's leave this place first. I need to find a place to fuse with some bottlenecks. Thanks. Qian Huanyan put away the undying flower. It was her guarantee of advancing to the undying realm. The two of them left the valley. Half an hour later, they found a mountain peak. Qian Huanyan hid a few hundred meters away and began to absorb the power of the undying flower. Su Fong secretly summoned Mo Fengjun and asked him to protect him in the dark. He took the opportunity to break through to the sixth stage of the longevity realm. Once again, he absorbed the remaining power from the Golden Sky rune talisman. Previously, he was about to break through at the Saber Light Mountain Dojo. Who knew that Qian Huanyan would bring Lu Wei and Lin Yining to find him? Thus, he was delayed for a few months. Bang! Just 3 days later. After this period of preparation and cultivation, a chi explosion exploded from Su Fong's body. He broke through. This movement caused Qian Huanyan, who was cultivating in the distance, to be shocked. A large amount of dust swirled around Su Fong. The impurities in the placenta surged out from Su Fong's skin. He then used the 100 acupoints finger technique to guide the power of advancement to attack his entire body. Everything was done naturally. During this process, Su Fong's divine perception separated into the heaven and earth. He came to Bai Ling's side, who was cultivating. "Sister Bai, this demon core flower can help you cultivate. This is a good treasure. Bai Ling was like a little girl. She did not appear depressed because she was controlled by the Heaven Neck Spirit Ring. She was still as mischievous as before. After chatting with Bai Ling, Su Fong retracted his divine perception and continued to focus on his body's advancement. After the advancement, the dragon-taming wood and the fire god elephant inside, the purple Aura Dharma spirit, were undergoing qualitative changes. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, in particular, was further integrating with the purple Aura Dharma spirit. Countless Dharma seals were being integrated into Su Fong's powerful primordial spirit. Any Dharma seals in the sixth-level space were incomparably clear. Su Fong could almost see with the naked eye that there were places outside the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda where the aura was not evenly distributed. For example, the aura of gold and silver, as well as the aura of the Xianhuang stone and the primordial jade stone. This meant that the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was still in an imperfect state. Junior brother, congratulations on breaking through again. You're at the 6th stage of the longevity realm, right? At this moment, Qian Huanyun congratulated him from a few hundred meters away. She hadn't casually come over. She knew that Su Fong was in an important stage of his breakthrough. Not long ago, I completed an important mission, and Heavenly Paradise Elder Jean Chongkong bestowed me with a Dharma awakening energy. That's why I was able to break through in such a short time. Without the runic talismans, I wouldn't have been able to break through in such a state. In any case, congratulations, and I have to thank you. Because of the immortal flower, my strength is constantly increasing. I estimate that I'll soon reach the 3rd stage of the immortal realm. My overall advancement speed will also increase. Then you have to work hard. If I complete a few more missions, I might be able to catch up to you. But after this training, we shouldn't move around too much. Why? I offended the Crown Prince faction. I also heard that you refused to be roped in by the Crown Prince faction. But that shouldn't have much of an effect. You're just worried that the Crown Prince faction will take revenge on you. Senior Apprentice Sister, I also don't want to implicate you. The Crown Prince faction and I are already irreconcilable. The Crown Prince faction will do everything in their power to get rid of me. Anyone related to me will also be implicated. You should know the Crown Prince faction's influence. Su Fong's tone was cold. He suddenly realized that if he got too close to Qian Huanyun, he would be harming her. Chapter 296. This trip to the outer realm was an opportunity for all the disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect. For Su Fong, it was a life and death challenge. Since he had come to the outer realm islands, he had to be on guard against the Crown Prince Society. If he got too close to Qian Huanyun and the others, he would inadvertently drag them down. A few days later, his breakthrough was completed smoothly. However, his cultivation had yet to reach the 6th stage of the longevity stage. Not long after returning to the valley, Su Fong met up with Lu Wei and Lin Yining. He found an excuse and left alone. Lu Wei and Lin Yining didn't know the reason. Only Qian Huanyun knew. There are still a few markets where I can go to collect spiritual items. Who knows, there might be other gains. Flying on his sword, he passed through layers of mountains. After a few hours, he arrived at an underground market hidden on an isolated island. This isolated island was surrounded by undercurrents. Occasionally, there would be whirlpools and underwater reefs could be seen moving along with the undercurrents. The outer realm was a dangerous place formed by natural forces. This was how a large continent was formed. The lone mountain was densely covered with forests. Many merchants were spread out under the forest. Some merchants even built wooden houses on the tree trunks. There weren't many cultivators, but there were people coming and going at all times. This time, he deliberately used his purple Qi Dharma spirit, hoping to sense treasures. However, he was disappointed. Even a high-grade Dharma artifact couldn't cause the purple Qi Dharma spirit to react. He still managed to buy a dozen spiritual items. Most of them were plant-type spiritual treasures that could be used for cultivation or consumed. Golden cores, a total of 2. They're at least young nascent soul's golden cores. They contain 13 kinds of divine abilities. They're probably at the 8th or 10th stage of the young nascent soul realm. Ordinary people can't use golden cores of this level. Your 2 golden cores can't be compared to Dharma treasures or spiritual items. Yes, 3 million indestructible pure essence pills is too expensive. If you don't want them, then don't haggle. I've already lowered the price from 7 million to 1 million. If you give them to a young nascent soul expert, you could get at least tens of millions. Under a large tree, an indestructible man in his 30s was hawking 2 golden cores. There were a dozen cultivators around him, but they were only discussing the golden cores. None of them wanted to spend money to buy the golden cores. The man was furious. It seemed that he had spent a lot of effort to obtain the golden cores, but in the end, he didn't get the expected return. What about the golden core? Su Fong happened to be passing by. He sensed the aura of the young nascent soul and was attracted by the golden cores. The 2 golden cores were indeed extraordinary. They should have been left behind by cultivators who had reached the peak of the young nascent soul realm. After waiting for a while, the cultivators dispersed. Su Fong walked in front of the man and asked, "Where did you get these 2 golden cores?" When a man heard this, he saw that it was a cultivator of the longevity realm. However, when he saw that Su Fong was a disciple of the celestial sealing sect, he immediately regained his spirit. A while ago, I accidentally found it in a collapsed valley near the Xinjia Gate. The 2 of them should have fought and died together. 3 million undying pure essence pills isn't expensive. You know that I'm a disciple of the celestial sealing gate. This kind of golden pill is very valuable. Do you have any other treasures? Well, I also got an empty bag there. It turns out that one of the 2 golden cores came from the Green Lotus Sword sect of the Wutan world. There were a few divine abilities inside, but none of them came from the Green Lotus Sword sect. Of course, there was also a high-grade Dharma artifact. Unfortunately, I've already fused with it. If you can really afford it, I can give it to you. I don't want the Dharma treasure or the empty bag. I'll take these 2 golden cores. Here are 6 million undying pure essence pills. After asking for a while, Su Fong was slightly disappointed. He decisively bought the 2 golden cores. Green Lotus Sword Sect. One of the golden cores contained shocking sword chi, as well as chi from outside the realm. It didn't belong to the Zhiwa Tian world. It meant that it was a cultivator who had fallen from another world. So it was an expert from the Green Lotus Sword sect. The sword chi was so strong. He thought it was the Broken Sword sect, but it turned out to be the Green Lotus Sword sect. He secretly sucked the 2 golden cores into the profound yellow space. Senior, I want to obtain the Green Lotus Sword sect's sword chi technique. There are 13 divine abilities here. Senior should be able to draw out those 13 divine abilities by fusing with the golden cores. It seems your thoughts are already on the Green Lotus Sword sect's divine image, Jade Annulus. Green Feather King calmly opened his demon eye. He couldn't hide anything from Green Feather King. He, since it's a Tao item, and one that could deduce divine abilities and divine abilities, Junior is naturally very curious. With the divine image, Jade Annulus, the help it can bring to cultivation is unimaginable. Since the divine image, Jade Annulus, is in the Green Lotus Sword sect, Junior can first grasp some of the sword sect's techniques. Who knows, it might be useful in the future. Then wait a bit. You can also buy more golden cores to cultivate with this king. Golden cores are great treasures. You don't want them? It's not that Junior doesn't want them. It's just that I can't quickly refine them. Adding on the fact that I have enough cultivation resources, I don't need them. Withdrawing his divine sense, he waited for Green Feather King to devour the 2 golden cores and comprehend the sword chi technique of the Green Lotus Sword sect. He entered another merchant association. This one seemed to be the largest in this underground market. It was 4 stories tall and hidden in a forest. When he arrived, he saw cultivators from all over. Su Fong's immortal sealing sect robes attracted a lot of attention. But when they saw that he was a longevity disciple, they didn't give him a second glance. Looks like this merchant association has quite the background. He swept his gaze over the first floor. There were all sorts of treasures, and some of them were quite good. This place felt like a proper merchant association in a major city. It contains the aura of the immortal sealing sect. On the second floor, he saw a flying sword. At first, he couldn't tell what it was, but upon closer inspection, he saw that it contained the aura of the immortal sealing sect. It should be a treasure left behind by a fallen immortal sealing sect disciple. It was only a middle-grade flying sword, and not a great treasure. At this time, Green Feather King sent him a message. Kid, this king has comprehended the 13 divine abilities of the Golden Core. There really is a sword chi technique called the Lotus Curve Sword Chi. It's a part of the Green Lotus Sword Sex technique. Only young soul disciples can cultivate it. The other divine abilities aren't much. None of them are suitable for you. Lotus Curve Sword Chi. Su Fong began to absorb the thoughts and words that were transmitted to him. Soon, he had engraved the Lotus Curve Sword Chi deep into his mind. When he arrived on the third floor, he saw many medicinal pills. What surprised him was that there was an aphrodisiac pill for sale in a corner. After asking, he learned that the Merchant Association had bought it from the Crimson Firmament Continent. It was said that it was very popular on the Crimson Firmament Continent, and its price was a third higher than in Grand Yuan City. Today's special treasure is a small demon tamed by a demon catcher. Everyone can buy it and cultivate it. Gradually, it will become a powerful demon beast. When he arrived on the fourth floor, he saw 100 people surrounding him. They were selling a white-furred demon monkey. It looked like it had just formed a golden core not long ago. The demon monkey didn't have much demon chi. There was a special rune inlaid on its neck. It suppressed the demon monkey, so it didn't dare to go berserk. A demon catcher? Could it be Li Haojie again? In this outer realm, he should be the only demon catcher. Su Fong connected the spirit monkey to Li Haojie. Then he heard the price of the demon monkey. It was actually 30 million undying pure essence pills. That was enough to buy an ordinary high-grade Dharma artifact. Demon beasts tamed by demon catchers were very useful. They were similar to puppets. The only advantage was that they were alive. Cultivators could raise monster beasts in captivity, absorbing their essence and cultivating together. Gradually, they could turn the monster beasts into mounts or a means of attack. In the world of cultivators, raising monster beasts in captivity was very normal. Some great powers would even suppress powerful monster beasts and use them as a force to protect their Dao temples. Su Fong wasn't curious about this because he was a primordial chaos sage. He could raise as many demon beasts as he wanted, especially now that he had 6 commanders. So many undying flowers. The other counters were almost empty. Su Fong sensed a familiar aura and went to the counter to take a look. There were over a dozen undying flowers. They had reached the undying realm, but had yet to reach the Yang Soul realm. Su Fong had come for these spiritual items. The undying flowers could be used for cultivation or alchemy. The benefits were indescribable. In the end, he spent a huge sum of money to buy those undying flowers. Su Fong was suddenly attracted by an item, causing him to be extremely surprised. It was actually the same black stone piece he had obtained before. It was slightly shorter, but its aura and material were the same. What kind of treasure is this? Su Fong asked the staff member. The staff member said, I heard it came from Xinjia Gate, but no one can prove it. It's also very cheap. 500,000 undying pure essence pills is yours. So cheap? Su Fong bought it and immediately left the Chamber of Commerce. After flying away, he found an uninhabited forest. He immediately entered the profound yellow space and brought the 2 black stone pieces to see the Green Feather King. How did you get this thing? The Green Feather King was surprised. Senior, do you know about this treasure? Well, how should I describe it? It's called a treasure, but it's not really a treasure. Instead, it's said to be an ominous item. Yes, it's called the Xinjiang Maxim. I heard that it was passed down from the Xianjia Gate. Rumor has it that you can enter the Xianjia Gate with this treasure. Facts have proven that you can do so, but no one who entered with this thing has ever come out alive. Is the true inauspicious? Of course it's inauspicious. This king also obtained this thing in the past. I heard there were quite a few of them, but he didn't dare take it. Later, everyone said it was an inauspicious item, and the legends were all false. It's also not a treasure. It's just that the material is very strange. It's very tough, and there's nothing special about it inside. Perhaps it really does have a secret, but you'll have to enter the Xinjia Gate to be able to prove it. But no one who took it came out alive. The Green Feather King shook his head disdainfully. He had been deceived. Su Fong was still unwilling to give up. He took out the true chapter maxim from before and said, "But the purple Chi Dharma spirit can sense that this true chapter maxim contains a different aura. Otherwise, I wouldn't be interested in it. This is it." "Really?" Green Feather King was curious now. The purple Chi Law spirit was a magic treasure spirit vein. No one knew how it was born. Since it reacted to the true chapter's proverb, did it mean that there was some mystery behind it? However, after looking at it for a while and activating it with his true chi, there was still no movement. Treasure? No way. Forget it. You should keep it for now. It's best if you don't have any ideas about it. Inauspicious items will always bring disaster. Green Feather King tossed it back to him. Who? Suddenly, Su Fong's divine sense moved and immediately disappeared from the mysterious yellow space. Under the forest, Su Fong immediately looked to the right. As he flew up, he heard some movement. That person really is the immortal sealing sex Fong Yu. He's on the life snatcher list. When he came to the underground market, I knew it was him. A disciple from the immortal sealing sex longevity sect is worth 50 million undying pure essence pills. This time we made a huge profit. It's enough to buy a high-grade enchanted item. Chapter 297. That's great. We found such a great opportunity. 50 million indestructible pure essence pills. In the depths of the forest, a few people were getting closer and whispering to each other. Life-seeking list. Perfected sovereigns heard the commotion and thought that some cultivators were passing by. It was fine if he just left, but he didn't expect that these people were here to kill him. I remember Supreme God Sex bounty for my head was 600,000 indestructible pure essence pills. How did it suddenly increase to 50 million indestructible pure essence pills? Back in Celestial Sealing Sect, Qian Huanyun had learned about the life-seeking list. There was indeed a bounty for him. Who asked him to ruin Supreme God Sect and twin immortal sex plans in Heavenly Gore Domain. But at that time, it was only 600,000 indestructible pure essence pills. Now, it had increased by more than 10 times. It was too strange. 3 indestructible cultivators and 2 undying cultivators. He released dozens of formation runes and immediately covered the forest he was in. He used the 8 origin divine elephant formation and activated the formation in the forest. Whoosh, whoosh. The 5 figures flew directly into the forest. With a buzzing sound, the array was activated instantly, enveloping the 5 people inside the array. Not good. We've been ambushed. We have more people. Let's break the formation first. We can't mess up the formation. Someone must be killing us and robbing us. Inside the formation, the 5 cultivators were all panicking. Fortunately, there was strength in numbers. Each of them took out a middle-grade magic tool and activated a shocking mystic light from the magic tool, blasting it towards the barrier. Fire Crystal Golem, suppressing chalk. Su Fong appeared behind the 5 of them. With a palm strike, he summoned a Fire Crystal Golem from the void of the formation. The Fire Crystal Golem attacked with both palms. The 5 of them also noticed the commotion behind them and turned around to use their artifacts to defend. With a pung sound, dang dang, 5 magic treasures flew out of their hands, and 5 cultivators were sent flying at the same time. In midair, 2 undying cultivators exploded, leaving behind only 3 undying experts who had lost their center of gravity. Whoosh! Su Fong leapt up, his 5 fingers carrying an astonishing suction force, grabbing at the 3 immortal powerhouses. Stop this person. Although the 3 of them were heavily injured and had lost their balance, they still took out runes. Great Heavenly Sword Chi. At this moment, the ruler deity step from the Celestial Sealing School was used, and a sword light struck the 3 rune talismans first. With a chee-chee sound, a large amount of blood mist flew out, and the 3 undying experts were once again heavily injured. Be obedient, suppressing chalk. Su Fang's palm struck out, and a demonic shadow vortex descended upon the heads of the 3 great experts. Not to mention dealing with the oppressive power of the 8 origin divine elephant formation, they could not even resist Su Fang's speed and aura. They were sucked into the true devil blood space. The 8 origin divine elephant formation disappeared at this time. 5 experts were killed so easily. For a 6th-level longevity realm cultivator, these were indeed 5 experts. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were giants. The familiar life-demanding list appeared in Su Fang's hand. The 3 undying realm experts inside the true devil blood plate instantly collapsed. Su Fang planted a devil seal in them, and they obediently took out the life-demanding list. These 3 people originally specialized in assassinating cultivators on the life-demanding list. They had cooperated with the Supreme Deity sect several times to obtain the bounty. It's 50 million indestructible pure origin pills. That's enough to buy a high-grade artifact. My bounty is more than an indestructible cultivator's. Looking at the list, his heart tightened. 50 million indestructible pure yuan pills was definitely not a small number. Ordinary loose cultivators could not take out such a sum. Only the indestructible geniuses of large factions would not take it out for casual spending. They would use it for cultivation. Suddenly, a sharp sword appeared in his heart. He was worried about the Tai Chalk gang, and in this foreign land, there were countless cultivators who relied on killing to survive. A few hours later, he arrived at a new underground market. This underground market was very large. There were several mountain ranges where merchants gathered. There were at least 100,000 cultivators here. It was packed with people. The mountains, valleys, cliffs, and forests were all filled with cultivators. A third of the people were all different kinds of peddlers. They were all loose cultivators. If loose cultivators wanted to become cultivators, they needed resources. They had to rely on themselves to obtain resources, unlike the Chalk clan and the disciples of large powers. These loose cultivators sold spirit herbs as small as spirit herbs, all kinds of gems, demon beast bones, and cultivator corpses. However, most of them were at the indestructible or indestructible realm. There were very few treasures that could reach the Yang Soul realm. They had been bought cheaply by cultivators or forcefully sold by merchants. If they were indestructible or indestructible cultivators, they could still find treasures. At least some mid-grade artifacts were of good quality. There were also some empty bags and illusion cloud ropes. At this time, Su Fang entered a store. The market was not big, but the products were very complete. There are even rune talismans for sale. For example, everyone wanted to have a large amount of teleportation talismans. Pill cauldrons. It just so happens that I need to start collecting more pill cauldrons. In the future, there will be more and more slaves. I also need to prepare a large amount of aphrodisiac pills. He was attracted by a pill cauldron. The pill cauldron was an ordinary bronze with some silver engravings. It was a high-grade pill cauldron, but its quality was at the bottom of high-grade. Although the price was shocking, Su Fang still bought it. Right now, only high-grade pill cauldrons could increase the speed of refining pills and increase the quantity. After the transaction was completed, the other party said mysteriously, "Sir, you are an elite of the immortal sealing sect. I have a treasure here that you should like." "Is that so?" Su Fang was curious. The other party took out a treasure box. When he opened it, he saw a golden core. It was a Yang Soul Realm golden core. The golden core contained the immortal sealing sect's core, as well as a dozen divine engravings. It was a golden core that had come from a fallen expert of the immortal sealing sect. The other party said, "How is it?" "Sir, you are in the longevity realm. If you obtain this Yang Soul Realm golden core, you can slowly absorb it. It can help you cultivate the immortal sealing sect's 7 divine abilities. Look at these divine engravings. They should also contain the essence of the immortal sealing sect's divine abilities. Once you absorb them, they will help you master them even faster. Thinking about it, he said, I can take it back and use it in the future. At the very least, I can give it away. It only costs 10 million pure, indestructible essence pills. It seemed the other party had seen through Su Feng's thoughts. He was unable to reject a powerful golden core from the immortal sealing sect. With this golden core, he would have the foundation to establish himself in the immortal sealing sect. For example, an undying or indestructible disciple could use this golden core to curry favor with a Yang Soul Realm expert. Then he would be able to rest easy in the immortal sealing sect for the rest of his life. 10 million is too expensive. 6 million. If you want to sell it, then sell it. I'm in the longevity realm. Such a high-level golden core is useless to me. In fact, it will only bring me more trouble. Higher, that's the price. You should find another employer. Su Feng turned to leave. The other party clenched his teeth. Fine, that's the price. We can't openly sell such a thing. I heard that a large number of the immortal sealing sect's disciples have come to train. I heard that your immortal sealing sect is holding a grand training event. I don't want to offend the immortal sealing sect because of this golden core. After completing the transaction and leaving, Su Feng smiled inwardly. You don't know that I have the ability to refine this golden core. It can help me raise my cultivation realm. Fellow disciple. Unexpectedly, a few people walked over and called out to Su Feng. It turned out to be 6 immortal sealing sect's disciples. They were all undying and indestructible existences. Senior brothers didn't know them, but he knew that they were experts from the Qingchang Dao sect and the spiritual Coffin Dao sect. He bowed politely and left with his head lowered. The immortal heaven disciples of the Frozen Moon Grotto are quite tactful. They know the rules when they see us. He's just a longevity disciple. He thought he could make friends with elites like us. Don't underestimate the immortal realm disciples of the Frozen Moon Grotto. Haven't they been talking about a longevity disciple who entered the high immortal heaven recently? It can't be this person. They chatted and laughed. In the end, in their eyes, Su Feng was just a passerby. After a period of time, not only did he meet the immortal sealing sect's disciples, but he also met female disciples from the Ziwei Star sect, the True Technique Sacred sect, the Broken Sword sect, and the Dual Immortal sect. Of course, he also met the Myriad Treasure sect's disciples from the Starfish Sky Island. The rules of this Chamber of Commerce are not bad. If we can find some rare treasures or treasures from the Green Lotus Sword sect, it would be good too. It was a huge Chamber of Commerce. Su Feng followed the crowd into the Chamber of Commerce. It was easy to see disciples of big factions here. Most of them were rogue cultivators. This time, he met a lot of immortal sealing sect's disciples. That's Feng Yu, that bitch. A few immortal sealing sect's disciples were leaving the Chamber of Commerce. One of them accidentally saw Su Feng in the crowd and couldn't help but feel angry. Brother Chung, what else do you want to buy? Everyone is empty-handed this time. The man was dragged out of the Chamber of Commerce. It turned out to be Sword Rider. The Immortal Jade sect is secretly looking for Feng Yu's whereabouts. I didn't expect to meet Feng Yu. I finally found a chance to get close to the Immortal Jade sect. Sword Rider bid farewell to them and left alone. Su Feng went to the highest floor. There were fewer people here, but there were still cultivators everywhere. They were all undead realm experts or young nascent realm experts. As soon as he arrived, he was attracted by a familiar aura. He immediately found it and saw a special artifact floating in a seal. Demonic artifact. It turned out to be a demonic artifact. All the demonic artifacts sold in the surrounding counters were demonic artifacts. However, this demonic artifact's aura was completely different. It was a high-tier magic artifact that had reached the peak grade. It looked like a black fan, but it turned out to be a fan sword. It was similar to Su Feng's Cold Wind Mysterious Ice fan, and it was also a high-grade magic artifact. However, this demonic artifact's quality had already reached the peak, and it could become a king-grade magic artifact at any time. The demon worship sect's magic artifact should be this demonic chi, because its aura is too similar to the Supreme Demon King and Luan Mo's aura. In the end, Su Fong asked for the price, but he still didn't buy it. The main reason was that the Supreme Demon King and Luan Mo already had magic artifacts. It wouldn't be of much use to buy it. Outside the Chamber of Commerce. At this time, a dozen cultivators appeared. They all looked like rogue cultivators, but they emitted the cold arrogance of experts from big factions. The information can't be wrong. Fong Yu shouldn't have come out yet. There's a fellow disciple inside. Let's wait outside. These cultivators went to wait under a big tree. After a few hours, their gazes were fixed on the Chamber of Commerce's entrance. Su Fong was walking out of the Chamber of Commerce. It's indeed Fong Yu. Let's inform senior brother immediately. The dozen of them were full of killing intent. They stared at Su Fong as he walked in another direction. It should be the Tai Chok Party's experts. Su Fong was being followed, but he didn't seem to notice the experts behind him. In fact, the moment he came out, he heard the experts' conversation. Just these imperishable realm experts can kill me. Each of them is hiding their identity. Since they're working for the Tai Chok Party, they're all my enemies. Sensing everyone's strength, Su Fong flew out of the mountain. After flying over a few mountain ranges, he heard more than 20 cultivators flying over from 3 miles away. They were getting faster and faster. It seemed like they were going to attack him. Heavenly Net, Sword Net. He thought that they would find a place where there was no one before attacking. Little did he know that these Tai Chok Party members would immediately launch a sneak attack. When they flew over, they threw out sword talismans one after another. Shio, each sword talisman exceeded a cultivator's flying limit. In the blink of an eye, they shattered around Su Fong. Countless sword chi fell and suppressed Su Fong, completely enveloping him. Don't let your guard down. Form the formation. Suddenly, a middle-aged man flew over. Chapter 298. The sword chi of so many undying realm experts almost shattered my flesh fetus divine armor. The sword talisman's explosion produced a terrifying sword chi that covered Su Fong's surroundings. Fortunately, he had the flesh fetus divine armor to protect him. Otherwise, Su Fong would have been seriously injured this time. Whoosh! Using the wind and fire dual spirit swords, he forcibly used the flesh fetus divine armor and ruler's divine steps to create an opening. In an instant, he flew out of the opening and towards the forest ahead. As expected, a longevity disciple can actually escape from our encirclement. More than a dozen immortal sealing sect and Tai Chok faction experts saw Su Fong escape before they could even form their sword formation. They were all shocked and immediately followed the strongest expert to give up on the formation and chase after him. According to our intelligence, this kid is very good at setting up formations because he has the Rainbow Soul Absorbing Bell and the Wind and Fire Dual Spirit swords bestowed by the upper echelons of Frozen Moon Grotto, which is also a high-grade Dharma treasure. I reckon he has more than one high-grade Dharma treasure in the 100-year trial mysterious cave. Chase after him. If he escapes into the deeper world, it won't be easy for us to kill him. The strongest expert among them was a Yang Soul expert. With a command, he stepped on his flying sword with everyone else. His speed was even more shocking than Su Fong's. He definitely wouldn't let go of this opportunity to kill him. They were less than a kilometer away. Su Fong used the ruler's divine steps and the wind and fire dual spirit swords. His speed was already very shocking, reaching the peak of the Undying Realm. He was about the same height as an Undying Realm expert. I'm afraid I can't kill the Tai Chok faction members before the trial. If I do, I'll definitely suffer the Tai Chok faction's revenge during the trial. Once the trial is over, I won't have to fear Shui Tai Chok faction. After all, this time, the disciples of the 3 great venerated sects are in charge. Originally, Su Fong wanted to find a place where no one was around and use a few young soul slaves to kill the Tai Chok faction members. However, considering that he would soon encounter Shui Tai Chok faction, he thought about it and decided to endure it for now. Demonic Chi. At this moment, he flew out a mountain range. Suddenly, he saw bursts of black smoke in front of him. This was the territory of demonic path experts. Su Fong smirked and said, "The extraterritorial grounds aren't the immortal sealing gate. This isn't the territory of the Tai Yaozi faction. Even a peerless expert like Tai Yaozi wouldn't be able to dominate this place." With a plan in mind, he continued to approach the demonic energy. Then, he concealed his aura and entered the forest where the demonic energy was released. He instantly heard dozens of breathing sounds. There were dozens of demonic Dao cultivators here. He quietly entered the depths of the forest, not letting any demonic Dao experts discover him. He took the opportunity to hide behind a large tree. Once again, he used his great perfection ability to sense. A group of experts from the Tai Yaozi faction suddenly attacked. However, when they arrived at the forest, they slowed down and didn't enter the forest in the end. They also felt the demonic chi and knew that this was the demonic path's territory. They didn't dare to offend a demonic path expert in such a place. The Su Fong took the opportunity to leave the forest. Let the Tai Yaozi party members wander around the forest. After leaving, he sped up and flew into the depths of the extraterritorial grounds. He would first go to the flying Immortal Island to take a look. Along the way, he passed by some territories overseen by demonic Dao experts. Aside from the cultivators from other worlds, there were experts from both the demonic Dao and the demon race. There were also some tribes and clans. A few days later, he finally arrived at the central region of the extraterritorial islands. He could clearly feel that the energy of this world was particularly complex. However, within that complexity, there was an astonishing amount of natural spiritual chi. It even surpassed the essence of the immortal sealing gate. Raising his head to look at the sky, he saw that spiritual chi was constantly condensed from spiritual chi, forming a sea of spiritual chi that constantly shot energy down to the ground, causing cultivators to go crazy. Although there was plenty of spiritual chi, the other natural energies contained a vast and icy aura. It was as if a cultivator absorbed them, their entire body would be frozen. This was the extraterritorial power of the extraterritorial grounds. It didn't belong to the Zhuotian realm, but it was also a part of it. This was because the immortal sealing gate was a Dao artifact that had descended from a large world. It was also called an immortal artifact. The energy released by the Dao artifact had already changed the extraterritorial grounds. Su Fong floated at the peak of the mountain. He communicated with Green Feather King with his spiritual sense. "Senior, a Dao artifact can actually change a world." Green Feather King said, "Dao artifacts are also divided into different grades. The Immortal Sealing Gate was originally a peerless immortal artifact. When it descended, it should have brought along some material or energy from a large world. Only then could the countless islands fuse together and form a brand new continent. Unfortunately, this world's energy is abundant, but cultivators can't truly fuse it. The demon race and demonic Dao cultivators can't do it. Material from a large world, presumably, even a blade of grass from a large world would be a supreme spirit treasure in this small world." Many experts from large powers have obtained materials from large worlds from the Xianjia Gate and used them to build their Dao temples. It's the same for the immortal sealing sect. It's a pity that mortals are unable to refine it. Those who can control large world materials can dominate any small world and are on the same level as the overlords of small worlds. The Xianjia Gate is in the deepest part of the Xianjia Gate. You have to be even more careful here. Those who cultivate and snatch treasures in the deepest part of the Xianjia Gate are all extremely skilled. You might encounter Yang Soul experts everywhere. Moreover, in this chalk central continent, there are also some natural spaces that have formed. For example, underground caves, natural moats, and karst caves. Green Feather King carefully warned him and sat down to continue cultivating. The power that had been suppressed for 10,000 years couldn't be recovered overnight. Flying forward, he saw some islands that hadn't perfectly fused together. Some rivers were surging with terrifying waves. When they entered the depths of the mountain range, they immediately saw a vast expanse of mountains and forests shrouded in spiritual fog. The world was filled with boundless white fog. Carefully sensing the surroundings, Su Fong found that the grass, flowers, and trees all contained a shocking amount of spiritual qi. Unexpectedly, he found a fruit tree. There were many fruits growing on the tree, and each fruit also contained a shocking amount of spiritual qi. It gave people the feeling that it was extraordinary. Picking one of the fruits and confirming it wasn't poisonous, he immediately swallowed it. The fruit melted in his mouth like a pill, and his entire body sank into an icy chill. Then, when the chill disappeared, he welcomed an incomparably comfortable feeling. It was equivalent to opening up many of his meridians. Although it didn't bring any power, it could open up the body. It was very useful when used in cultivation. Su Fong gathered these fruits. They could be used to refine pills in the future. Hiss! After gathering more than half of it, a demonic wind came from behind the tree. It was accompanied by an indescribable sound. Looking closely, it was a finger-long red caterpillar. It was simply an army of caterpillars. These caterpillars all contained demonic qi. Could this tree be their food? Su Fong sensed hostility from the crawling speed of the caterpillar army. Qi! Unexpectedly, Su Fong, who was originally planning to leave, suddenly saw several caterpillars pounce at Su Fong like lightning, spitting out shocking amounts of poison. Courting death. With a palm strike, undying energy surged out. Pa! His palm collided with the caterpillars. Su Fong and the caterpillars were both forced back, and the caterpillars were killed. However, Su Fong wasn't happy at all. Insects that eat fruits have undying energy. No wonder the Outer Realm is called the most dangerous place in the Zhuotian realm. Since he couldn't afford to provoke such an army of caterpillars, he jumped up and found that many of the trees behind him had been occupied by caterpillars. They were currently enjoying the ripe fruits. Just looking at it made him feel disgusted. Not far ahead was a majestic mountain. It must have been a huge island in the past, and there were many mountain peaks on the island. Su Fong had thought he was the only cultivator here. He didn't expect to hear quite a few voices as soon as he entered the mountain. There were hundreds of cultivators resting here. They came from all over the place. What Green Feather King had said was correct. These were all undying experts, as well as some powerful Yang Soul experts. They were resting by themselves, not daring to approach. Su Fong sensed that these undying cultivators were all abnormally strong. It seemed they were all experts in higher realms. When Su Fong sat down and wanted to rest, a woman suddenly came to find him. Seeing her appearance, he felt a sense of déjà vu. He was startled. A female cultivator from the twin immortal sect. She was extremely powerful and should be close to the Yang Soul realm. Without any politeness, she took the initiative to walk over to Su Fong. What a handsome junior apprentice brother. Senior apprentice sister, do you need something? Su Fong didn't have a good impression of the twin immortal sect. The woman elegantly introduced herself. I am a disciple of the twin immortal sect, Yin Chan. I was just looking for a male cultivator to dual cultivate with. The first time I saw you, I noticed you had abundant yang energy. Unfortunately, you're only at the 6th heaven stage. Even if you're a disciple of the immortal sealing sect, the 6th heaven stage doesn't have any status, right? But I've never thought of dual cultivating with a woman to become an expert. Su Fong remained unmoved. So this disciple is someone with great ambitions. Big Sister agrees with your way of thinking, but dual cultivation is also a way to become a powerhouse. Your celestial sealing sect has quite a few powerhouses who have dual cultivated with the women of my celestial sealing sect. They've all become powerhouses. Little brother must have come to this foreign land for the sake of strength. If you don't have strength, how can you obtain strength? Yin Chan didn't give up, bearing her soft breasts. Don't you think Big Sister is right? Furthermore, you and I are using each other's strengths to make up for our weaknesses. You need my strength. I'm at the undying 10th layer, someone who can jump realms. My strength has reached the Yang Soul realm. Just think about how high you can rise if you absorb my essence. Su Fong bowed. Let me think about it. Once I've thought about it, I'll come find you. Little brother, don't make me wait too long. Chapter 299. Too little? Number? Ring? Desert Sistanch Kiangligan? How can you abolish the filth of the Liu family and lead them into the darkness of jealousy? Ichi nunnery is swollen. Peptide brand zhong shun he demonic path. Yin Chan? Number? Was he trying to pry open Meng Yi's mouth? How could he be so enchanting? What the hell is going on? Swallow and Kyo? Badger routed? Shrug cut dark clear screen? Apologize for fainting? Pretentious and pretentious? Dr. Fu? Shrug off Omega burdens? Refute the riddle? Jean, I disagree. I'm a teacher. Hang Bei. Judge Bi Huang Meixiang? What? Omega block Hui Ding? Model? Is it appropriate to tailor a chair? Quietly and fiercely, you shrug and promise? Siruing? Huanhejing? Hiyong Xiong Mei Ding? Look at this. A stool? Hang Zhai Kai Ping? Is this the case? Quietly haggard? Fall into a trap? Yin Chan indicated that it was too little. Number? Zhao Yushi used her young nascent soul aura to lift young master up. Number? Ranchong rustled the locust tree. Ding. Burnt? Salt and pepper? Methanol? Crushing the stalks? Fanguang Wei. Resistance to capture. I thought it was Tai Tai. Crane? Dry card. I'll close my business for a while to play with the sedan chair. Omega Meng Pry. Piao Bing after flying into the forest. Su Fong found that the two women were extremely fast. They flew over from above. One is at the indestructible 10th layer, and the other is only at the longevity realm. You want to kill me? You're too naive. Let's see what kind of ability your twin immortal sect has. Su Fong calmly shook his head and continued to fly forward. Ever since the twin immortal sect had cooperated with the supreme god sect in the heavenly gore domain and almost killed Xiao Mei-er and Qian Huanyun, Su Fong did not have a good impression of the twin immortal sect. Box ammonium blade? Hang phlegm to Pai Sang? Is it the type of chi that is rolled into a pit? Fading and calling? Navigation screen. Hua. In about 3 breaths. Has Su Fong just passed through a lush area? Good desert Sistanch Zheng? Drama award grade bad Tiller Oriole? Bad news? Talk about sodium? Conflict? Grasshopper daughter way. Buwan? Monkey collapse? Cormorant Miki Ling Huang Wei Tanjua Pu Zhen. This is the strength of the Yang infant realm. It can be suppressed in an instant. Raccoon Valley Wei Huan Zhen Huang Wei June Puff. It seems to be forbidden. Monkey Wave Rolling Sword. Liao Hui. Wei Shan. Wei Kai. Shanju. Pu Chang Ming Jiaoji. Sword. Bad Old Madam Yin Feng. Attack. The aura of the Yang infant realm was terrifying to the extreme. If there were no servants, magic treasures, and flesh fetus divine armor, Su Fong would be an ant. Elder sister said she would come to find you, so she will come to find you. Yin Chan brought that young master. Number? In Jizhong family. You won't win the award? Wei. Jiechi. Fu Huandong. Su Fong stared at Yin Chan, then looked at the young master next to her, who was inexperienced. Number? Hai Ba. Fu Huan. Lu E-Star Shell Replica. Since you've fallen into my hands, you naturally have to listen to me. Come with me. Be obedient, and I won't let you suffer. Yin Chan directly stopped above, her hands forming a seal. The layer of qi that enveloped Su Fong began to transform, turning into a seal to completely suppress Su Fong. Raccoon Ridge at this moment. Su Fong suddenly struck the qi layer with his palm. Yin Chan shook her head coldly and arrogantly. You, the younger brother of Changsheng? Suruing? Material Jeeping? Tsuruji Rumble, who would have thought that when Su Fong's palm hit the qi layer would explode under the force of his palm? Hector? Gatha Pupa 1 second. He was laughing very proudly, but the next second, he was in disbelief. Yin Chan was shocked. Sorry, but if you want to kill me, then I won't be polite to you either. Su Fong's aura was terrifying because he was borrowing his servant's power. Yin Chan didn't believe in a Chongqing younger brother. Yu Qian? Howling Coffin asks the sea. Guanghua? Number? Guanghuan's coffin. Skeletal fence? Hang Bei. Trick? Eh, get out of my way. Young Master General? Number? Oriole? Tan Jiao Huai. Mountain hashtag? Are you looking forward to it? Say, Nailer F? Bin? A certain frequency in the spine? Rumbling of rolling hinges, the five-colored sword Qi was driven by the flying sword in Yin Chan's hand. Was this a high-grade technique? How Zhu? Do you want to split the test to overturn the chaos and steel carries? Playing with cormorants? Couch hashtag. Qin Manchu Mountain 1 Soul Beach Lame. Jiao Ji of the Zheng family was knocking on the immortal sword. Bastard F? Huh. Scolding? Song Yao, style F? Layer after layer of sword Qi rolled up like countless sword Qi petals falling down. I'd like to see you, the immortal sealing school's longevity brother. Siruing? Lai Wei Wei Ming Hua Biao Beach. Qi, brother Hui? Ai, Xiangu Di. It's true that I'm no match for you, but not die. Is it rare to see Xan by Neon Nephew in danger? F asterisk asterisk asterisk. Su Fong was also exceptionally murderous. His opponent had the strength of a young infant, and this was no joke. Although she was a woman, she had the strength to take his life. The moment he absorbed the power of the slave, he activated the great overarching heavenly sword Qi. Xiao. A stretch of sword light soared into the sky, clashing with the five-colored sword Qi. The great overarching heavenly sword Qi clearly held the upper hand, shattering layer after layer of five-colored sword Qi. Moreover, it was moving faster and faster. Yin Chan urged the flying sword with all his strength and pressed down on the vibrating flying sword with both hands. Urging a high-grade method, vast and mighty. You're like an amaranth flower? Suruing. To impede how persistent was Yin Chan's forehead? Hang Wei. Choku. Teacher? So confused? Do you want to talk to me? Guanghua. Number? Handtech, my teacher. Hang Bei. Xiao Yiqian. Xiao Yiqian. Xiao Yiqian. And Xiao Yiqian? Number? Common cover frame. What kind of logic is this? When Su Fong heard this, he was overjoyed. Why? How is it the same? Good shifting words? Good yu? Bad yu? Conflicting words? Huang yu? Good yu? Yu? Miserable? Yu? 2-inch Zhang Ruoyun. I'm going to die from anger. Yin Chan was unable to restrain his anger and grabbed a few runes. Thunder Heart runes. Chi, the runes descended and instantly shattered. Waves of silver lightning turned into silver lightning sword Qi. Its power was too shocking, enough to kill any bummy brother. Yu Jun shatter. Once again absorbing the power of the slave, the surrounding great overarching heavenly sword Qi shook violently. Countless sword rays shattered the falling silver lightning sword Qi. Pooh! Yin Chan, who was pressing down on the flying sword, was also shocked to the point of spitting out blood. Shocked? Hantek UF? Pounce? Epin UF? G can't hurt my teacher. Hang Kuyang Master Zhang Ruoyan, not far away. Number? Huai Yuesu Fong, Gaze Young Master. You? Just sect? You? Angle You? Grand? June? You? Huan Yu? Play? You? Pin value copy, that won't do. Zhang Riyun was very decisive this time and pounced towards the great overarching heavenly sword Qi. This made Su Fong suddenly feel that it was too little. Number? Steep? Conflicting words? You? Number? Huang Chuan Yu? You? And Huan Yu? Yuan Mu Tudong, Luo, to you previously. She gave people the feeling that she was submissive in front of Yin Chan, but in fact, she was a very courageous girl who cared about her friend. Treasure Protect Master. A jade bracelet appeared on Zhang Ruyun's right hand. It was not an ordinary jade bracelet. You? 3? Uf? Gupeng the jade light collided with the great overarching heaven sword Qi. Unexpectedly, the great overarching heaven sword Qi's aura was shaved off by quite a bit. However, Su Fong's aura trembled once more, and the Daluo heavenly sword Qi completely shattered the jade light. Is that so? Cormorant trade? Liluo? Kappa? Sodium tiller? Is identical to Hum Hum? Panzheng Jian. Oyster spoon as soon as he used the heavenly steps. Su Fong suddenly pressed his palm on Yin Chan's head, and Yin Chan could only tremble slightly. Weilan Manju Yao? Is Vertigo Mina playing? Eternal blemish Huan Li Qian, Mei Rubbermang Lu. Don't kill your master. Henggu, Qing Lin, Xiao Song, Xiaji. Barium, ether, Xiao, decoction, condylar, falcon base, don't come any closer. I won't kill him. I don't want to accidentally injure you. Su Fong waved his hand. Number? Ren suddenly cuffed. Zhang Rian begged. Please don't kill my master. Honky Yin Chan shouted angrily. I said you're useless, so you're useless. What are you begging for? Kill me if you have the ability. I don't mind killing a woman, but I have many ways to deal with you. For example, I lack slaves, so I can refine you into a slave or a puppet. This way, I can use you at will. How about that? Su Fong shouted indifferently. Your dual immortal sect likes to capture other female cultivators and cooperate with the Supreme God sect. Then, I'll sell you to the Supreme God sect. How about that? This is your fate. If I want you to die, you can't die. Yin Chan was really scared. Is everyone's life worse than death? Raccoon Dog. Zhang Ruiyun put away the jade bracelet and came to Su Fong and Yin Chan Raccoon Dog. Slow and corrupt Pan Bien, Jiao. Mei Ji, Delta Bai, Xiao. Siren I Chin Neon Omega Fu. Omega Vice Locust Tax Dang Bei. Asphyxia Ji. School. I Chin Shi Huang Xiao. Songbian. Xian. Xiao Yao Meng. Ji. Box Fu. Yumin Ji. Li. Huan Li Qo Ren Omega Li Master. How? Hulu. Meng Liang's ferocious Long Biao. Ju 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 Long Biao. Xiao and Huangzhan Jiao. Puyu Quan. Raccoon Ridge, it's true. We followed Master to the extraterritorial lands to gain experience, but in the end, we were ambushed. We had no other choice. Was the Voyager playing a trick? What? Daring to speak out? Hongta? A box of alfalfa? Was it because of Huan Zhuangzang's betrayal of Minyu and the danger of Zhuang in the nunnery? Get up. Su Fong nodded at Zhang Ruin. Promise me that you won't kill my master? Hanggu, Jie, Qing Yang, Mei Ku. I'm not a man who kills women. Su Fong finally nodded. He really couldn't stand the sight of a young girl. Number? Jiao Mi made an appointment with Ba. Howl. What? He Zhenpeng. Su Fong flicked his finger, and a huge force shook Yin Chan so much that she sat down weakly. Raccoon Peptone? Rhyme exhaustion Yin. Chan recovered a little and stood up reluctantly. Zhang Riyun helped her up, and she glanced at Su Fong. You have such good intentions. You have to thank your master. How? Huang. Vexed scolded Mei Na Ping Shui. I Qin ran Huayu. By Shuo. He. Su Fong turned around and walked towards the sky, urging his aura to leave. I'll remember you. Yin Chan shouted unwillingly. Can you come with us? You just need to send some pure yang energy to my master, and he will be able to escape. Zhang Riyun suddenly walked out anxiously and looked at Su Fong with a fluorescent light. Master? How? By show you Quan Pu Yu Quan Mu? Jiao. See you Quan I Qin ran Huai Meng. Mu Exing Shi. GC Yao Zhang Riyun said resolutely, but how are we going to help Master get out of this predicament? We're just going to watch the big goblin and the demon Dao experts kill Master. Fine. Because of your filial piety, I'll go with you. I'll do my best to help. At this moment, Su Fong unexpectedly turned around and agreed. Yin Chan and Zhang Ruiyun were both surprised and delighted. They never expected that a person they had no connections with would generously lend a helping hand in such a situation. My master is trapped beneath the solitary Sword Gorge, which is dozens of kilometers away from here. The interior of the solitary Sword Gorge is shockingly spacious and is occupied by some members of the Tao of Devils, or even the big goblin. There are many natural treasures inside, and one of them is a spirit spring. Shake the heavens? Aluminum alloy? Me? Millipods? Fade away? Shua. Gray and dazzling sulfuric ammonia bojuju? Omega dong now? Overturning a peddler? How long was speechless? Sweat? Tragic product? Iwan? Trample on animals? Wei long? Hang Yu Tong Ji. The two girls immediately took Su Fong and flew into the sky. Zhang Riyun was explaining the cause and effect of the matter to Su Fong. Chapter 300. So it's land? Made of aluminum? Kana fat, sled dough, Ime Mu Xian, just a few dozen breaths. They entered a spiral-shaped white fog sky. In the depths, a ravine suddenly appeared, like a giant sword lying horizontally on the ground. Solitary Sword Valley. Landing a few steps on the ground, they arrived at the edge of the ravine's cliff. In front of them was a bottomless ravine. Waves of fog surged from time to time, shaking the ground. That cowardly structure choke? Master, brother? Crane worried Hurry Huan Ling, throw rough. Omega low tooth bow, exhausted blanket, search the ground, marking the beach. Raging gadolinium weary. Head Ping Yangzhang Riyun waited anxiously on the side, afraid that there would be no response from the other side of the token. After 3 breaths, the token buzzed. Master is using a magic weapon to protect myself. I'm trapped in a cave near the spring. Raccoon dog. School. Wulon Ji Fu. Wulon Ji Huai Sang. Jin. Chi. Jean. Trouble. Warning AI. Dust. Omega Do Mu fades quietly. Wulon Ji Zheng. Wulon Ji Fu. Dead model. For Wulon Ji Zheng. Soil blowing hibiscus. Pouring water. Estiel's tritium pa. Few young women responded in a low voice on the other side. Knowing the situation below, the 2 women and Su Fong leaped down and carefully approached the bottom of the ravine. 1,000 feet below was another world. Is it a wide land? Made of aluminum? Hashtag. Asking Ji-Fu to drunkenly incite warblers to collapse? Swarm over? Zheng? Pai Dong Pai. Lui? Chanting Wef Yarn, leaning on the lamp, blowing twilight, feeding yin. Chan led the way in front, while Zhang Riyun and Su Fong followed closely behind. Passed through this land, made of aluminum, swollen, cherry blossoms. Amine prize, dust bad work return, 1 minister gu. Rhizoma mushroom, was it a land? Harmonized hinge. Drag. Longji Guichan, gu. Crossing over this mountain range, they flew to the right. The mountain range had many mountain peaks of different shapes, completely leaving this mountain range. Below them was a waterfall that had disappeared. Another 1,000 feet down, it formed a deep pit. From the deep pit, there was an extraordinary spiritual chi. The spirit spring is right below. I heard that it's 1,000 years old. Haha, so it's yellow? He lying? Do you want to kill people on the banks and live in fear? Is it a flat piece of sodium stained ground? Secret whispering medicine? Wei. Shi? Yin luo yugua lin li wei. Chao Huan Yugua Lin Li Wei, Chao Huan Yugua Hua, hexagrams, slaying the hibiscus? Yin Chan introduced it to Su Fong. The 3 of them made their preparations and decisively approached the earth abyss below. Su Fong also secretly used the Great Circle. How? Kappa? Apricot Phi hexagram, you dad, Chi Bafu school, swallowed by magnesium, hexagrams, plunder and unload, mental illness. The Emperor choked. Trick. Omega Ming, Xiao. Clang. Scraping the bolts, and Fan Xiao to death. Not only that, but the green light was sucked into the depths of the demonic mist, and howls of struggle came from within. Whoosh! Whoosh! The demonic mist also began to collapse. Su Fong put away the illusory fire cloud, and from within it, he saw the big goblin struggling in pain. The green light had left bone-deep wounds on the big goblin's body. What a powerful Dao item. It's much stronger than Xin Wang. Su Fong finally saw Li Haojia's strength. With the yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome, even a Yang Soul Realm powerhouse couldn't do anything to him. It was no wonder he could survive in the outer realm. Seal! Li Haojia shouted a command to the yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome. The green light swept over and dragged the big goblin into the heavenly tome. On the surface of the heavenly tome, there was a carving that was exactly the same as the big goblin's. It seemed that the yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome would show the same carving when suppressing a big goblin. Su Fong flew over. Without the big goblin, how are we going to collect the spirit water? No problem. I will make the big goblin submit. It will take some time. Li Haojia gestured and flew towards the boiling spirit water with the yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome in Su Fong. The spirit water kept disappearing. After waiting for a while, Li Haojia activated the yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome again. After the heavenly tome opened, a green demonic light shot out and turned into a huge mouth that bit at the spirit water. Gulp! The demonic light sucked the spirit water into the yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome. What a magical yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome. This big goblin is also extraordinary. It's a pity to kill it. Its body can withstand high temperatures and the corrosive gas from the boiling spirit water. The same goes for the big goblin's esophagus. After an hour, the spirit water had dried up. The yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome had only absorbed part of it. Most of it had disappeared deep underground and could not be found. Li Haojia looked at Su Fong and took out a jade bottle. The yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome poured out waves of spirit water into the jade bottle. When Su Fong received the jade bottle, he saw that the spirit water was enough to concoct a few 100 million impotence pills. He did not expect to receive such a big gift this time. I heard that the Celestial Sealing Sect is going to hold a large-scale training this time. Li Haojia kept his Dharma treasure. At this moment, he was just an ordinary longevity realm cultivator. The two of them left the spirit water and flew towards the exit. Su Fong replied, "About 100,000 disciples. I don't know much about the Xinjia Gate, and I don't know what unexpected situations we will encounter this time.